Welcome to the March 28th, 2024 Planning Board meeting. We will have a roll call, please, Gloria.
Chair LaFaro.
Present.
Vice Chair Finity.
Present.
The Secretary is here. Board Member Catalinato.
Present.
Board Member Mutu.
Present.
Board Member Neely.
Present.
Board Member Fulham is out. We have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Gloria, do we have minutes to approve?
We do not today.
No minutes today. Okay, before we go into our work session, we're going to continue. We're going to take the town referral first.
Cal?
We do.
Oh, you do? Okay, great.
So this is a notice to terminate the Hampton Bays Waterfront Revitalization Plan. I think we discussed this at one point. The application we had a couple of years ago, was it? Maybe?
It was, yep, 2019 is when the town acquired the property.
Right.
Yep,
Okay.
It's the Bel Air Motel.
yep, the former Bel Air
Right.
Cove Motel.
So
Yes.
you can give us an outline and
Sure. Thank you. Kelly Doyle, Assistant Town Attorney. This is a referral from the town board to consider terminating the Hampton Bays Waterfront Revitalization Plan. The plan was adopted by a prior town board in 2019 pursuant to the Urban Renewal Law, that's General Municipal Law. Article 15. The plan was adopted particularly for the property located at 20 Shinnecock Road, Hampton Bays. That's the site of the former Bel Air Cove Motel. The motel was a pre-existing non-conforming motel. It actually turned into a situation where it was overcrowded. There were illegal housing conditions. There were numerous code violations, safety and health violations. It was very concerning. So the plan was developed to transform this site into some sort of boutique hotel or condominium. And the idea behind that was to promote tourism in Hampton Bays and keep the property on the tax rolls. So that was the plan for the property. So the town acquires the property. They put out an RFP for redevelopment proposals. There were two viable proposals that were subject to a special public hearing. One was for a senior housing plan, and one was for more of a boutique kind of a condominium hotel. So at the public hearing, there were numerous, overwhelming comments from the community, especially the Hampton Bays community, in opposition to any private redevelopment of this property. The comments were more in favor of a passive use, such as a park use. So ultimately, the town board ended up canceling the RFP, rejecting all the proposals. And the intent now is to keep the property as a park. The first step to do that would be to terminate the urban renewal plan. And then the plan is to keep the property as a park. It hasn't been completely decided if it will all go to CPF or maybe just half would be transferred to CPF and the other half would be retained by the town parks department. The point in doing that is that the part that would stay the parks under control of the Parks Department, it wouldn't be subject to CPF restrictions in the future. So sometime in the future you wanted to have craft fairs or farmers markets, things like that, it wouldn't be subject to all those really strict CPF regulations. So that hasn't been completely decided, but definitely a portion of it will go to CPF. And that is, the last thing would be that there was a loan from the general fund to acquire the property. The actual amount is $1,101,466,000. I'm sorry, $1,101,466. So that is the actual amount of the loan that would have to be forgiven. CPF is not allowed to pay the town to acquire the property, so it would have to be donated from the town into the CPF fund.
So that's money out of the general fund.
It is, yes.
You're still driving.
Where are we going?
And isn't there an opportunity to launch some kayaks from here if the
Right.
park takes over?
There would be,
Yeah.
yes, yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's a
Yep.
separate, in other words, the development of the park hasn't really been established.
It hasn't been established. The first step is just terminating this plan
Yes.
so
Yeah.
we
The
can forgive
process.
the loan and just move forward. But it will definitely be a park. It just,
Right.
depends on, some of it will be CPF, some of it
Right.
would be general.
I think I remember when we first discussed it, we were in favor of having it a park
I-
and not developing it.
You were, I did read the
Yeah.
comments, yes.
So, any other comments from the rest of the board?
What is our act, do we do that by resolution?
Supporting the
We're
town
supporting
board,
for-
yes.
In support of the,
Yeah.
Yep.
okay.
I didn't know
Claire?
Kelly was gonna be here, so I did this too. So I have something.
There's ahead of us
We have
already.
some-
Yes. Basically, what I say is, this is it. Basically, what I say is that you actually recommended that it be a park,
Mhm.
and so I say, planning board supports the termination of the Hampton Bays waterfront revitalization plan for the property at 20 Shinnecock Road as a result. Does that sound good?
The hamlets have park funds, so is it possible that that money could be used rather than the general fund?
To improve the park or to forgive the loan? To forgive the loan, it would just have to be from
General
the general
funds.
fund, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's true. That's what the purpose of that fund is to purchase and
Yeah.
maintain parks. So,
I don't know if now that the town has already purchased it, though, if you could just, take park funds to forgive
Wait,
the
what?
loan. We can look into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think
What's the
that's,
question?
So if the different hamlets have their own
park
park
reserve.
fund, so
Yeah.
could that money be used to forgive the loan that was used from the general fund to acquire the property?
so that it would be the.
Yeah, it might be able to,
We can look
because
at that.
it is an acquisition.
Even though it's kind of an acquisition like from the town, because the town already owns it?
But it's not a CPF
No,
ownership. It's
no.
the town, it's a town property.
Yeah.
yeah, for park purposes. I mean, yeah, I
That
think
We
was-
can look into it.
that's a
I
good
would
point.
say
It's a
if you
really
do-
good point.
Yeah, nobody's.
If you
brought
do
that
it that way, and maybe it's 50-50, but would the whole property then become part of the
Park
Parks
property rather than
Department as
CPF.
opposed to half CPF and half
Right.
parks?
You have to find out how much is in the fund, parking fund
Yeah.
first.
Should we make mention of the,
Can we just make
of the
it add a line?
designation in our resolution? The
Yeah,
existence
recommend
of the
the-
designated
Take on giving half to
park fund for
CPF.
Hampton Bays? Any possible money to
Just,
use?
Yeah.
as a part of the
Giving half to CPF.
whereas or resolved?
Keep it
Do a
total.
whereas a
you could do the
recommendation of the
whereas,
of the
fine.
planning board would be that the town look to Park Reserve to see if it's eligible for transfer.
Yeah, and if there's any money there to use it.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Nobody's brought that?
It's my dollar hat on.
So if I might ask, what's the purpose of having CPF, keep part of the property? What's the point?
If they kept part of it, well, if you're thinking like the side that has the bulkhead in the water, then CPF funds could be used maybe to reconstruct the bulkhead. It does need to be reconstructed, I believe. And CPF water quality money might be able to be used for that part. And there's another, also, if CPF acquired the portion with the building on it, then perhaps CPF funds could be used to demolish the building rather than town funds.
That's the property on the screen, right?
Yes, yep,
Right.
yes.
I mean,
So-
I'd heard the idea of a shellfish hatchery, I guess there's a lot of good possible uses
A
for
lot
it.
of good uses,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yep, we just,
Because it's a great location.
mhm.
It is, yeah.
So with that addition, Claire, okay?
Yeah, so it'll be with the recommendation that they look into using the park
Yeah.
district funds.
Or,
Yeah,
or
or, yeah,
For the to repay the,
Pay the
the
fund.
Pay
loan.
the loan.
okay. How about a motion?
motion?
Motion by Dennis,
Second.
second by Gloria, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor, 1 absent.
Thank you so much for
Thank
taking the
you.
time to
Thank
hear
you.
this.
Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
Okay, we're going to close the afternoon planning session and go into a work session for Rivian, number 1 on the agenda. So planning board, on your agendas, number 7 is off,
And number 8 is Rahu.
number 19 is off, number 20 is off, 21, And there's an addition for signed site plan. And there's also an addition, I think Anthony, you had an addition of, yeah. There's an addition for 225251 Butter Lane. So one addition and then all those other deletions, okay? Welcome.
Thank you.
So please give us your names for the record. You need a chair.
That's okay. I'm gonna sit right back here. They're gonna do all the talking. I'm just here to observe.
Okay.
State
All
your
right.
name.
Because there is another chair in
There are
that room.
chairs right in that room.
That's fine. It's fine. So, yeah, stuff.
Justin Ackerman, I'm with Rivian.
Mark Specker, ResDark, we're the
Our
design architect.
The architectural firm.
Stephen Roberge with Rivian as well.
So two Rivians.
And I'm Joe Papero. I'm the land use attorney for Rivian.
Ah, okay, welcome. And we'll get you
Thank
a
you.
chair.
So,
It's important that you.
yeah.
So give us an overview. This is a very important
I
and pivotal
know.
site.
Yeah. So, I mean, what we're looking at doing here generally, I'll let Mark speak a little bit more to kind of the application and where we're at in that process and what we'd like to understand from this meeting. But what we're looking at doing on the site is sort of, we have a program that we're developing and starting to work to build across the country. They're like amenitized charging. We call them charging outposts. And so we're gonna have 6 of our DCFC chargers at this location. That's our ideal situation. And then inside, it's mainly meant to have like grab and go snacks, a water station, a little patio area in the back where people can hang out. It's just, charging typically takes between like 25 and 45 minutes. And so we want to create a space where it's Rivian branded, where we, are able to get our brand out there a little bit and create a space where people can have their kids play during charging or hang out during charging.
Any cars?
So there will be cars there. So what we want to do is actually run drives out of here. So we actually don't do sales out of any of our spaces. Technically, everything is done online through
Like
an app.
Tesla.
Yeah, just like Tesla. It's a similar model. And so what we'd like to do here, we won't have any inventory on site, and we won't have any actual display vehicles on site that we haven't like finalized yet, but we will have drive vehicles available for customers who have scheduled drives ahead of time to come on site and take a spin.
Like a test drive of
Exactly,
before
yeah.
before they purchase it.
Yeah, like an educational drive to get to know the car and how it handles.
No maintenance?
No maintenance, no service, nothing.
How many of those drive vehicles would you have?
I think right now we're hoping for 4
4.
on site, and we're flexible with you guys, like depending on where they need to be on site. I think ideally we would love to have them staged kind of in front of the building, because what we're planning for right now, if we open it up to the floor plan later, we're having like a kind of driver's lounge here where people can hang out and wait for the vehicle in their drive time.
This is the old patio.com site.
Yeah.
Okay, right,
And so
pivotal right on that corner.
architecturally too, the reason we were drawn to this building is like the shake, the kind of classic New England style of it, and so we want to preserve that as much as possible. Really, all we're looking at doing is improving some of the landscape. With every project we do, we look at like using native species, low water. We're very like sustainably minded, and so we always want to move in that direction. And so really, again, looking at preserving the architecture as much as possible, cleaning up the landscape around the immediate building, adding in like a patio space, hang out on the back, and then the idea is that we utilize this driveway in front of the building for that staging of the vehicles, if we can.
And the driveway.
Well, so it's kind of interesting because there's entrance access off Montauk Highway here. It's
Right.
I think one way in.
Mhm. You can
Oh,
see it
yeah.
up there.
Yep. And then that goes directly back to the parking lot in the back where we're looking at having the charging. And then our goal was to have traffic kind of come in one way and out the other way. And then this sort of space up here would become where the drives would occur from. So it allows us to have you know, cars sort of seen from the street, and then also easy access for
But you're saying.
customers, and it doesn't
you're-
take up parking.
You're not looking to display, but yet
No.
you want to keep the cars out front to
I mean,
display.
ideally, but I think we're, you know, I mean, the intent wouldn't be for display. I mean, that would be a benefit, obviously, but the intent would be for the drives. And the reason we want to do that too is we like to preserve parking in the back for employees. We want to make sure we maximize the charging stalls and then allow for kind of future flexibility with charging.
Are these charging stalls exclusive to Rivian, or do they take other models, other vehicles?
Our attachment right now is CSS, so it's relatively universal. Right now, the chargers are specific to Rivian, but just like Tesla has done recently, we're opening up our network. I think we're planning for Q3 of this year. So by the time this is open, we will, or hopefully open, we will definitely be open to
So you're
the
not planning
public.
to adopt the NACS charging?
They already are.
Is Rivian planning to adopt that, or you still on your own proprietary charging?
Right now, our chargers themselves are proprietary. So we have a universal adapter. So once we open those up, anybody with that CS charger could come. Like Tesla would have a tough time. They might need an adapter, but
Right. But
So put a
so,
pole to pull it.
No,
Yeah,
what I was
totally,
asking though is
100%.
that a lot of manufacturers have adopted Tesla's charging.
totally.
Yeah.
You're not planning to.
Um,
Rivian isn't planning to.
to be
at this
honest,
time.
I don't know. I know that we just gained access to Tesla chargers, so I'm
With
sure
an
there's
adapter.
conversations
Yeah.
happening about what that adapter looks like.
I mean, I think
but
the
yeah.
assumption has to be that we've got to have a universal charge.
I completely
Because
agree.
In the
it's,
world.
yeah,
completely
it's
agree.
kind of stupid at the
It makes,
moment.
I mean, I drive an EV and it's very like tough.
Yes.
you know.
I plug it in my garage.
Yeah, totally. Smart.
I'd like to talk a little bit about your entrance and exits, because
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
think that's an incredibly dangerous spot to have basically a convenience store like in and out.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I mean, our initial intent, and I think we would want to do some, whatever's required by the city and county to sort of go through the necessary studies to understand what traffic flow is going to be. But our initial intent, without really driving this route every day, would be to have one in, kind of one out. So it's not the most convenient way of getting in, but it reduces
But
potential.
if you're coming from the west on Hampton Road,
Yeah, today we
or
took a
on
left
County Road 39.
in there,
It's tricky.
which was tricky.
Because you've got basically two lanes going into one, and so that traffic bottlenecks now without having a car or cars trying to make
Yeah.
that left.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I think a traffic study is probably in order to just prove that we can manage.
It might
the-
also shed some light on how you plan on using the property, in terms of having these vehicles in the front that are the test vehicles. You might think about having 2 or 3 that are not test vehicles, they're just display there, and have your test vehicles somewhere
Somewhere
circulated
else.
in the back.
Mhm.
Teresa, is that a survey line around the property?
That's
Or
our
not?
That is
property
the
line.
approximate property line.
So that corner
Yes,
is not part of it?
no, that's part of the road right-of-way for
Okay.
County Road 39 and State Route 27.
So if a traffic circle were ever to go in there, there would
There should
still
be
be
sufficient-
sufficient space?
And obviously, being on the intersection of Montauk Highway and County Road 39, you should reach out to the DPW and for the state DOT.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
Definitely.
because I would think that one of them may want to close off that and exit onto the
County Road
County
39?
Road 39, because it is
That
a
second one
danger,
on
it's very
the-
dangerous.
on the
Yes,
west?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
gotcha.
a very dangerous intersection there, there's tons of cars that go through. So you definitely don't, at minimum, they would probably want to make sure there's no lefts there,
Absolutely.
you know, but,
I got you, okay.
but just exit only
Understood.
at minimum, but I would foresee them wanting to.
You're
So the
right
juris-
where the two the jurisdictions meet, although the state does control that intersection.
Yeah.
They would be in control, but reaching out to
We tend
both is a
to-
good idea.
27 is
We
a
tend
state
to-
road and County Road 39 is
And this is a
county.
Yeah.
very heavily trafficked road. But getting back to the vehicles and the parking of the vehicles, you're gonna need to talk to the zoning board of appeals, right?
Okay.
Because that is in the front yard.
Yep.
And you can't really have the displays like that in the front yard. So, you know, that's something that needs to get discussed with the zoning board of
Absolutely.
appeals.
Okay.
If the planning board feels that should proceed to site plan, you should, you know, initially make your application to the planning board, but then file with the zoning board so that we can get.
Do we
a little
want them
feedback.
to have display in the front?
No,
No.
no. So that's
No, you
jumping
shouldn't
it.
go to the
They-
zoning board.
you know, This to me is sort of like a working plan, which is
Exactly.
why
But if
you're
you
here with
pull up a
us.
car and the person
Right.
jumps in, nobody's going to give you a
Nobody's
violation.
gonna
You know what I'm
So-
talking about?
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
So
Yeah.
ask us some questions.
Yeah, a question that I have, and I think part of the understanding that this is where the display vehicle, or, test drive vehicles are. My assumption was this was during hours of operation, right? So is there a change in mindset if this is here, when during the hours of operation, people can test out their vehicles, then they bring the vehicles after hours into the back, as a temporary, you're driving up,
No.
test it, bring your vehicle in the back.
Was your question, can you leave them overnight out front?
No,
No.
I guess,
Them during
I
the
guess I
day
want
in
to
front.
prevent the confusion that it's not a display vehicle in the sense that it's permanently staying there. It's there temporarily, test drive, driven, and then brought back
I mean,
to the back.
we prefer to not have
Sure,
cars in the front.
sure. Okay.
That the few
Period,
places where
yes.
we've got car dealerships, they've put in berms or
Sure,
To screen them.
to,
Okay.
we want nature there, not,
sure.
If you look at the side across the street, which is, I think, what's the patio, that, you'll, no, not the diner, yeah, directly across the street. You see the landscaping in the front?
Here?
One of our,
Yeah.
yeah, or adjacent to it.
Yeah.
That's kind of the model we look to achieve on
Okay.
the, we seek to sort of eliminate the asphalt in front of these locations.
Street trees.
But obvious question to Teresa, what is this use? Is this a convenience?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
fair
really,
question.
you know, we have been considering it as a automotive dealership, right, a car sales. I
Is it
don't,
automotive dealership?
well, if they're not actually doing sales out of there, I don't really know. I mean,
Sales
that's,
or
They're
maintenance.
they're selling electrons.
yeah. Right, so I guess we would have to look at that a little bit more closely to see
Yeah.
what kind of use
It
is.
is very unusual, and I spoke to this gentleman a few times about this. We'll probably have to get an interpretation from the building inspector at the end of the day, but because it's advertising, it is people coming to look at these cars before they purchase them. I think there is a nexus to the car dealership personally, but we should double check with them.
You
The
know,
other thing, go ahead.
No, yes, that's an interesting thing, because the closest use this really comes to, if you think about it, is the gas station.
Yeah.
okay.
And
Right.
ironically,
Like a
it used to
surface
be-
It's a gas station
Convenience
with
store
a
and a gas
convenience
station.
store in
Right.
principle, except we're not really.
It used to be a
that's right.
Sunoco station.
Really?
We go
Was
back
it
to
really?
the, oh, yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
This is
It's
going
an
back
electric gas
Wow.
station.
40,
Yeah,
50 years.
exactly.
Sunoco station for years, and
Interesting.
I like that story.
That is a
I have a quick
So do we
question.
need to test the soil?
you will remember.
We have a
They should
newly
include that.
established traffic mitigation task force. That's what it's
Yeah.
called, right? Traffic mitigation task force?
Yes.
Maybe this is a question to Tom. Would it be advisable for them to reach out to the traffic mitigation task force to come up with the best and safest route? Or would that be up to highway
For,
for their test drives?
well, I can suggest one right now, which is you take a right
I-
out,
I
you
don't
go
think
right,
that-
you go right, and you go right, and you come
I
back.
I don't think we should be.
That's what a lot of dealerships do. Dealerships don't want you taking lefts either, so,
Right and right.
In fact, when you
But
do a
the-
test
but
drive, yeah.
Craig, we could, that may be something we could talk about.
No,
Upon advice of counsel?
that committee is very specific for what you guys are charged with doing, and this would fall definitely outside of that, but.
That's fair.
Just to go back to the use here, I was looking at the plans and there's a trailer charging I just want to clarify that there is no overnight parking, correct?
No, 100% no overnight parking. I do want to note though that the goal of it is that the chargers are open 24 hours.
It's like a
day.
service
Yeah.
station.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a gas
yeah.
station with a convenience store,
Yeah,
but it's not gas.
exactly, yeah.
It's electric.
It's
Yeah.
electric.
You would have some vehicles parked there that you're keeping there?
The test drive vehicle.
Yeah.
The test,
yeah.
so there is some limited overnight parking.
But they'll be in the
Correct.
back.
But-
for the,
But no, they won't be
Nobody's
occupied.
sleeping over.
No.
Right.
Right.
And then also, with respect to the use, when a person purchases a vehicle, is there going to be delivery of the vehicle at the site, or is the vehicle delivered direct to the
The-
purchaser?
It's either delivered direct to the purchaser, or they go to like a specific,
Location.
I think we call them last mile centers, which is where they pick up the vehicle.
Okay, because I would have some concern
And it's
about
usually service centers.
trailer, vehicle trailer park,
Pulling through.
circulation.
Totally,
yes.
yeah.
And then, just looking over your site plan, I did notice that your plan calls for backlighting of the signs. That's not gonna happen.
Okay.
I'm just gonna be honest with
Okay,
you.
great, love to.
Not code,
Like
yeah.
The other, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you may notice that your neighbor to the, possible neighbor to the east, we've had them put in sidewalks, as part of, their redevelopment of that site, so,
The state requires that.
I think we
Do you-
required
I
it.
think in that
Yeah.
case you did, yeah,
Yeah, we could.
yeah.
Put it in
But,
the-
And
but
just-
in keeping
on their
with
property,
that
not on
buffer in the
their
front and the
Right.
street trees, that probably would be a good thing to continue
Yeah.
down.
Do you know what would trigger that? Would our just application pretty much
Yeah.
trigger it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're,
There would
Or
be
you
certainly
would submit
encouraging
a revised site plan. I mean, this is just a working,
very,
thinking,
yeah,
loose
conceptual.
drawing, right?
Yeah.
What about cross-access here? Anything?
I don't know if we have cross-access to the properties to the east and to the west. I can do some research on that.
This has a general cross-access, and this has real cross-access to each other. You can see this connection here between all these car
This
dealerships.
is the vacant site between them.
And then there's this property
Who
here,
owns
but
that
this has
property,
cross-access.
Claire? What is, that's a parking,
That was an old barn at
This
one
one?
point.
yeah.
Is
So-
owned by the people who are leasing
Who
to
were-
them.
Yeah, and
Same
we're-
owner as this
yeah.
lot.
And
we're
were there
looking to-
excess cars parked there at one point?
There are.
There are now. I actually drove by yesterday and saw
There
them.
are.
Yeah.
And then you have a cafe, you have Hampton Coffee right
No,
next door.
Coffee's right next
You
to
have a
it.
little path that goes from your place to there, and they can have coffee there.
I
Well,
think they
part of
want,
what we wanna
they want coffee.
discuss Is
That's very
potentially having like a small coffee, so working with, we're like having loose conversations with local coffee shops to potentially have like a little satellite
Well,
for
Hampton
them.
Coffee
Well, Hampton Coffee is
a
right
cool
there.
coffee
Yeah,
shop.
okay, well, shoot.
When you
And you
figure
guys
out
love
what
it.
you're gonna do, right, we may need the interpretation from the building inspector as to whether or not this is a service station or a car dealership, and then having a coffee shop in relation to those, whether that's an accessory use or a second use, and if it's a second use, you'll have to go to the zoning board for that second use. So that's something that we need to reach out to the
Yeah.
building inspector about, as to whether or not that's considered, a second use, or, well, first we gotta determine what the
Yeah.
actual use is, and then whether this coffee shop would be an ancillary use to that.
And
I
would
guess-
would we be making that outreach for those determinations, or would this body be doing that to the building?
I think you should do it ahead of time because there is only one step process with this, is why I wanted to bring it to you. There's
Yeah.
no pre-submission here because it's type 2 action environmentally.
So what I would
So-
suggest you do is write a cover letter saying, hey, this is what we're doing, we're trying to determine the use, whether it's a car dealership, a service station, and then we also wanna do this, is it ancillary to the primary use, and maybe give them a copy, or email them a
Like
copy
just
of the site plan.
Summarize our operations and, okay,
And
cool.
maybe request a meeting so you can have the back
Okay.
and forth.
Do you have any other drawings there?
Yeah. One question with the coffee shop too, if it was sort of operated by Rivian employees, but like, let's say Hampton Coffee supplied
Yeah,
the
that's
coffee.
coffee or
Yeah.
something.
That's
So
common.
that's,
Okay.
again, his determination of whether that's accessory to.
Accessory too.
Yeah,
And
okay.
the use, what is that use?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
think
if it's a
it's-
courtesy, the way some of the
Right.
not gas stations, but when you bring your
Dealerships.
car in dealerships, you know, they have a lounge and they have coffee and television.
Yep.
Right, that's kind of what this sounds more, rather
Sounds
than
more
a
like
coffee shop,
that,
it sounds
yeah.
more like what
While people are
Jackie is
waiting
saying,
to
a
rent
lounge.
Did we ever go to the patio.com's old site? We spent a lot of time on that. Did we ever look at that and see what the recommendations were for that?
I haven't.
You mean the cross-access and things like
The
that?
the landscaping, what we were gonna do with the
There
front.
was a whole application
Oh,
on
no,
that,
that-
that
remember
very
that building
modern
was a
building.
Multiple. It
Triangle?
was not the building, but
Oh,
what
okay.
we were gonna do with were we gonna close up the
Oh,
asphalt in
that's a
that
good
front?
point. Oh, I think, you know what happened with that one? Actually, I probably could bring it up. But there was gonna be an entrance here as it is,
Right.
right? And then all the way to the right would be a right only.
That's right.
You know, that was the point in the redivision.
And then then the whole front was just
Gonna be the building with the parking in the back.
Right,
Yeah.
everything in the back, just greenery in the
Yeah.
front.
Mm-hmm.
You know where the exit is now, where you want people to come out? You should think about that, because that's a really bad angle,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
Tom? And
Yeah.
people may say, I don't ever want to drive here
Mm-hmm.
anymore, and they won't buy a car. But,
You're trying to look over your shoulder to see
it
what's
is a
coming and
very,
you're straight.
because, yeah,
Oh, because it's such a acute angle.
it's an
Yeah.
acute
Yeah.
angle.
And the
it's-
cars are, if the traffic is
They
moving,
whip
they're
around.
moving.
Yeah,
As-
yeah.
So I think that's why, when we did someone came in for the site plan several years ago for new modern building, et cetera, and that's where we moved the exit. That's
Yeah.
right. That
Hmm.
driveway
Right
was out, was at
Interesting.
the-
Right along the west property line.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
Which makes the most sense.
Okay.
and not where it is, and so you have an opportunity there to do some beautiful landscaping and to really make it attractive.
Yeah.
Because it
totally.
is an important corner, and it's very unattractive.
Yeah. Yep. Lots of furniture.
What else? Signage?
Signage, I did actually want to ask about really quickly is there's an existing sign, monument sign, like right along Montauk Highway that's clearly sort of within,
It's in that triangle? Where
Probably
is
the
it?
public right of way.
it's
It's in
it's
there?
in our
It's
property.
Oh, it's in your property.
But I'm just wondering if there's a concern with any setbacks or if we're allowed to like replace that in kind or.
Well, you'll have to go to you have to submit a sign application, right, and get ARB approval for it?
Well, if it's the setback's not met, which is 20 feet,
Yeah.
then it's whether it had a variance by the zoning board of appeals or not.
Okay.
If it didn't, then you would have to either make it conforming, or you go back to the zoning board of appeals if you wanted to
Right, we would
remain in that
prefer that it
space.
be made conforming. Are you thinking of a sign on the building itself, or as a
I see some-
monument
I see you
sign?
have something here with the
What
ribbon.
do
on
you
We
it.
have-
do, I mean, this is all very conceptual again, and we did get feedback that roof signs are a big no-nos.
Yep.
And so what we were talking about doing is potentially something a little bit more like this, like there's an existing patio.com sign here. There's one here, and then there's another one kind of on this peak. And so we were looking at potentially doing just this Rivian here in lieu of the existing patio.com, and then just our, what we call the compass, the logo, like a little one of those on either peak of the building.
Do they have two sides? Are they entitled to two signs because it's a corner property?
They can, yes, if it's facing different roads, yeah.
It's facing
yeah.
different.
So would this be considered 3 sides?
Oh, consider
Just
two.
the peak.
Oh,
Okay.
I get two
I
definitely.
think you'd be able to do 2. The east one, it doesn't face a road, so if there's one on the east side.
Okay.
But that's in addition to the sign by the road?
Yeah,
That,
you
that,
can do, yeah,
Two on the building and one at the road.
you could do that because of the frontage.
I'm trying to remember what that one on the road looks like.
It's a
And
big,
It says patio.
Big white one?
Yellow.
yeah.
You can pull up the
Street.
street view.
But I guess, so if we're required to make that conforming, that means we have to push it back 20 feet.
Oh, there.
We're pretty much like
Oh, there it
demoing
is,
and
there it is.
replacing.
Yeah, so that's in the right of way, right?
No, it's on their property.
It's on their property.
Yeah, you can see the shadow here. Do you see where
Yeah,
my
yeah,
cursor
yeah.
is?
Yep,
It
yep.
it might be
Might
20
be
feet.
conforming, yeah.
Oh, 20 feet from the curb?
From the property.
From the property
Property
line.
From
line.
the property line.
It might,
So
it
you might be
close.
okay.
Okay. Sorry, I keep hijacking.
Oh, you're fine.
But again, well, yeah, I mean, if you change that driveway to the recommendation that we're saying, take it further west,
West, yeah.
then that whole driveway becomes,
You have a large piece of property at the front.
it's
where you can-
non-functional, you know, you have a big piece of property to do something on.
And that driveway reconfiguration, that was part of a prior site plan
It
approval?
was,
Yeah.
yeah,
We'd spend a lot of time on it.
yeah. Because someone came in and was going to knock this building down, put up a contemporary building.
Okay.
I remember because there was a lot of glass. you
Yeah.
know, And when that's lit up at night, all night long, it looks like the Queen Mary, you know, I mean, it's a
It's
real
also- it's also blinding when you're
blinding
driving.
to drive. So you have, the-
That's it.
There you go.
You
It's
see
on the
it?
screen.
yeah, he's just showing us some,
Oh, that's the old
Oh,
site plan,
wow.
okay,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. How could you take a left-hand turn into that?
No. There's
have
no
to pull
left-hand
that
turn
off.
on it.
That's right
No,
in.
that's in, that's right in.
Sir,
That's the median,
Can-
pretty much.
it's a
There's a
double, it's a
mic right
right
under
in
that.
Yeah,
and
there's a
only,
median there, you can't make
that's
it.
okay.
Okay.
They just said from the
Yeah,
audience.
but
right
that's
in and a
it.
right out,
I think in this case, you just want the right out.
That's just a.
just
Yeah.
the right
Yeah,
out,
and then the front was all greened out, greened
So you
in,
enter
right?
Yeah.
here.
Yes.
yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, so as far as what we were initially planning on doing with the site, assumption was 4 typical charging posts along the back, a handicap charging post, and then a trailer stall charging post. So if you have a trailer on your vehicle, you can pull through without having to try and detach and get into a parking spot.
that's the trailer you saw.
Correct. The transformers and equipment needed to operate those chargers, we're planning on existing in this small zone within the 10-foot side yard setback and the 50-foot front yard setback. So it leaves just a really small triangle of all of the remaining lot to try and put that in. So that's where we were initially planning on having that. As far as the visual exterior uses, we're looking at demoing one of the windows along the west wall, replacing that with a door, so you have 24-hour restroom access. The assumption was you charge your vehicle there. The charging post gives you a code to use for the restroom. So it's not a public restroom, but it is accessible if you're there using their functions. Removing the current egress door here and putting a double door meant to reestablish a main entry along the back as opposed to the front. But the assumption was, you know, you have your main entrance here, and then if you're able to do your test drives, the thinking was you could kind of have this as the waiting area, this is your main entrance. But as far as exterior changes, you're looking at infilling this door, matching the siding, removing the window here, replacing that with a double door, removing this window here, using that as a restroom, and then potentially this is where we're looking at the coffee component, using this as a walk-up order window to the exterior.
And what is in the front?
I'm sorry?
What's in the front here?
This is gonna be back of house, office, break room, that sort of thing.
Would you mind passing the renderings around?
Sure.
Of course.
They're conceptual,
We're-
obviously, but yeah.
Most of
Yeah,
us are at a serious disadvantage because we're not, all we can
It's
see
really
is
like
it is moving around.
like a real coffee shop, not a coffee amenity, like a couple machines where you can make your own coffee.
That's the idea.
So it's a
So-
retail, it looks like a real retail store, you've
Yeah.
got merchandise.
We would have merch, yeah.
Yeah,
So
And-
that
so
sounds like a-
retail.
That sounds like a.
So,
The
I
second
mean,
one.
once you get an interpretation from the chief building inspector, you should also reach out to the Suffolk County Department of Health to determine whether or not the change of use is going to affect your sanitary flow and whether you have to upgrade the septic system, because that'll all have to be part of your site plan application.
Okay. We've already discussed with them, and we were just actually on site meeting with septic company engineer to figure that out. But it was good to know that we'll need that included for our application as well.
Yeah, I'd hate to have you go and go through the site plan process and then find out you have to do a septic and come back to us.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, as you're kind of seeing in the renderings a little bit, the idea was to have merchandise here, some of the grab-and-go snacks along this casework here, and then this coffee component along this back-of-house area. Again, break room, some offices, and then driver waiting area with some storage along the back, and then maintaining these existing restrooms
How
and
many
electrical
restrooms?
room. two restrooms. One accessible to the exterior, one,
For employees and
yeah,
customers.
correct. The exterior one is ADA accessible. The current condition of the interior one is not accessible, but, you know.
And the
make do with what we
merchandise,
can.
is that also complimentary, or is that for
No,
sale?
It's
or-
for sale.
No, that's for sale.
I think,
So it's-
wouldn't that
So
affect?
So it's a
It's a
retail use,
retail
right?
It's a
operation.
really
Right,
retail,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's-
Retail.
Yeah, you have a convergence of uses here, I think that might be in conflict, I'm curious to see how that all sorts itself out.
It's best if you put your package together, submit it to the chief building inspector, request a meeting, and ask for a written interpretation, so that we know where we need to proceed, whether or not you need additional variances for the multitude of possible uses, and then we can proceed.
It really sounds to me more like a gas station with a convenience store.
I guess my understanding of thinking of this as a, if you were to think of it as a dealership, right? It's not, my imagination would be it's not that far-fetched for a dealership to also sell some of their merchandise in there as well.
Right.
You know, similar to the coffee, that's kind of adjacent to what a typical dealership
But
would
you're not
operate.
selling cars.
Cars, you're not selling or servicing cars.
You're not
which is
selling
dealership
or
really does.
servicing.
Sure, but I guess my thinking is that you're marketing your vehicle in a way as well. You know, maybe you're not specifically selling it, but I think if there was if we were to no longer be a closed state, for example, that I think that's something Rivian would look at it as well, you know, if that was an opportunity. So I hear what you're saying. I do think there is some similarities to how a dealership would function.
Yeah, you're gonna need the use that pretty much puts the,
Yeah.
you know, encompasses all the things you want, you may not get all the things you want. You
Sure.
may get some of them.
Understood. Mm.
Kind of like a hybrid.
Yeah.
But there is a repair component, because the charging would probably be interpreted as a repair maintenance component, like
Mm.
going
Oh,
for an oil
interesting.
change. You know.
But no, it'd be like a gas station, like a pump.
Service.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
gas, you're getting
yeah,
power.
yeah.
yeah,
But, yeah,
I mean, that seems to be the closest to
Yeah, this
fit
would
this
be, this would be
widget in
interesting.
this
Yeah.
box.
That's from the,
Yeah, that is interesting. So we had Tesla not too long ago, but there was a component of maintaining those
maintenance,
cars
yeah.
yeah.
that they had that does not have.
Yeah.
The charging is a lot longer than gas.
Yes, yeah.
That's why he might interpret it as a maintenance repair operation as opposed to,
see, if you were to swap over batteries, maybe you could have a dealership.
My husband had the same idea. Service stations with swappable
Well,
batteries.
I lived in talking about for a decade now, but nobody's been able to really make it happen.
Any other questions for us? It's so good to have a work session, by the way.
No, this
so
is
that
great.
Great, yeah,
We
no, I
really
appreciate
appreciate
Yeah.
the direction, there's a lot of issues.
Yeah.
obviously.
It's easier for us and it's easier for you.
And this
Yeah.
is something that we've not seen before.
Yeah,
So-
and we're running into that with a lot of jurisdictions, you know, and
Yeah.
so,
Is this the
with
first?
multiple use.
Or-
We have one opening in Groveland, which is right outside of Yosemite in California, this spring, and then we have another one outside of Joshua Tree. So also they're located next to kind of all these like beautiful, you know, places where people want to recreate. That's
Yeah.
kind of the point of them too.
And then you found this corner.
And we fell in love with that
the town
building.
is still encouraging EV operation through its energy sustainability plan. And to that extent, the more operations like yours you can get going.
Well, and I
So-
think that was one question we actually had before we leave is whether or not the possibility would be open for us to phase in the charging. So like, if we were able to apply for the permit for the charging early, get that built and installed while it's still operating as patio.com or whatever, it's still, you know,
Yeah.
and then we're able to sort of run permits concurrently so that we're not holding up the charging operation, we can get that
As
installed.
long as there's an
and then
active
work.
CO,
Okay.
you know.
Tesla,
We,
when they put in the charging stations up on 39,
Yeah,
Right.
well, it's
What's
accessory to the use, the parking lot, right?
right?
yeah.
That's a possibility, I think.
Yeah.
The board's inclined.
That big strip on County Road 39, when I
39.
first came in, we put in about 6 spots for charging stations.
You have the
They're-
one in
they're gonna
Hampton
need
Bays
the
now,
use
and the
established
Hampton
first.
Bays Center.
We have to get the use established
Watermill
first.
Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, That's fair.
Yeah, so I think that's I would say that's doable.
I would encourage patio.com to kind of clean up their act.
As long as they have a C of O, no?
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
a truck body in the
Oh.
back. I mean, I did go by the site yesterday,
there
so.
today, yeah.
Yeah, so it needs a
Pull the
little
truck body
cleanup.
out.
Needs a little-
A little cleanup.
You don't like the patio strewn about?
Oh, yeah, I know. It's interesting.
Did we mention solar? Should we mention
Oh,
solar?
yeah.
We should mention solar. We have a climate action plan, and we're really
Great.
encouraging everybody to
A lot of
use solar.
southwest exposure on that
We,
roof.
we actually, in our renderings and in the elevations, are planning to incorporate
So,
solar right here along that south-facing roof.
Oh.
So that's something that we're wanting to incorporate as well.
And use
There's a
that
lot
for
of
the
good
electricity to
That's
charge
right.
the cars.
That's right,
That's
yeah.
why
Love
in
that.
Joshua Tree, it's in the middle of the desert. We're doing these canopies like over all the charging stalls that are solar.
Yeah,
So
you could do that here too, in addition to the roof.
interesting.
Possibly.
Yeah, and again, I know we have a moratorium, but this
That's
would,
what
to me,
charges my
would be
EV.
Charging.
a good use to have a
Look at the
battery
app.
storage system to
Look
supplement
at the
your,
charge,
your,
Well,
powering the whole house.
I'm
would be
basically
amazing.
running the house on my solar,
expensive.
and I still have a little bit of.
And I still sell, well,
really? Oh.
They do have on the
In
market
March.
charging stations powered by
July,
solar
I
above
think.
the parking space.
Yes.
We were,
Yeah.
we were approached
Yeah.
when I was at the town
Yeah.
to buy some of those.
if you get the,
These DCFCs, they're the fast chargers, so they're the 25 to 45. They require a significant.
I was just about to say, you probably can't use that for fast charging.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
What do you have, what, 300, 300,
I honestly,
600?
I would have to like look it up,
He's
but
not
yeah,
the
it's
tech
pretty
guy.
intense. No.
Okay.
So we'll
Thank
start,
you.
we'll start with the
Alright,
building
so-
inspector.
Yeah, start with
Yeah,
that.
you guys
And
said
if you
get the
need,
use determined.
Teresa, you might be able to dialogue with them if they need some, have some
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You
that'd
can
be
give us a
amazing.
call, you can email me, Karen copied
Yes.
you on
Great.
my email, and so you can just email me anytime. I'm up at 6, start working for you there.
Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we're closing the work session, opening the afternoon session. And we're going to go right to Anthony. We're going to take 90 North Scenic Cuts Road. No?
I spoke to the applicant right before we started. We're gonna just do an extension until March 25th.
March.
April?
I'm
No.
sorry, April 25th. April, what are the dates?
25th and the 11th.
I'll move it.
April
April.
25th.
Yeah.
Okay, motion by Dennis, second by Gloria. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? 6 in favor, 1 absent.
Chicken Briar Hill.
You want me to jump to you?
I think it's
Jump
the next
over
one.
Claire.
I thought, they're looking at
Chicken
an old.
Briar.
No, I'm
Yeah, we
looking at
haven't-
the old one.
Yeah.
Wait a minute,
They don't
okay.
have the latest. Oh,
Number 3 is chicken bar.
Oh, okay, number 3, Chicken Briar?
Number 3 is Chicken Briar.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Hold on.
I don't see it.
You know, they have the new, they renumbered them, so
I know,
3
but-
is Chicken Briar.
Yeah, but where was it before?
Where was it before?
Because
Let me tell you.
I don't see it.
It was,
It
it's
was
on the
never-
most recent agenda.
It wasn't,
It was not on.
it was never on the
It was never on
agenda.
the agenda.
Oh. That's right. It's on the one that I have, but, okay.
But you snuck it in, Anthony, with 225.
No, but this one I put on a
Yeah,
Friday.
you didn't
I
email
really
it.
did.
It was, trust
No,
me, it was not
It
there.
was not on. Okay, so it's number 3 on the new agenda, Chicken Briar Hill, 38 North Bay Avenue.
This was the
East
one
Park.
where we talked about the park fee, where we had charged the park fee, and then Dave Wilcox had come back and talked about the trail. Remember, we said there was open
Right.
space dedicated, and Dennis suggested, let's find out what the trails had to say, before we, say that they could get a refund back. So, by the way, this was just a very
Bless
honest
you.
mistake. I didn't work on the pre-app. At the time of the pre-app report said no comments from the Trails Advisory. The day after the pre-app was adopted, the Trails Advisory Board had a meeting and sent over comments. Says the Southampton Trails Advisory Board reviewed this application. We are in favor of the reduced density open space plan. We would request a trail across the open space as shown. Crossing town-owned land to the south could then link to North Bay Avenue with East Pond Lane. Further down East Pond Lane, there could be a trail link to the creek, because there actually is some type of, you know,
Oh, yeah.
private thing over here. So they did in fact make a trail recommendation. It came in after the fact, and then what happened was, we did the final application. The Trails Advisory saw that the open space was being dedicated to the town, as part of their previous recommendation. So they didn't really provide any further comments, because they saw that it was getting dedicated to the town. But in fact, they did make a recommendation for the trail through the open space in 2019 when you did the actual thing.
So what's our action now?
And the action then would be to just recommend the refund of the park fee. For the record, the park fee that they paid was $19,925.68. They actually paid too much money. I had the right amount in my resolution. The attorney thought I made a mistake, so they had the applicant pay more. Nevertheless, the refund would be $19,925.68. How do you feel, Dennis?
I think we should give it to them.
Yeah, get a trail.
Yeah, get the trail.
Trail would be nice.
So that
And
was the
where's
ac-
the trail would come down through that little
Yeah,
bit
well, the
is
thing
town
is, we
open
have,
space
you know,
there?
we have some town land over here. You know, you have the road over here, the open space connects. So the idea is that maybe you could get down, come up here. We've had some trail recommendations for a piece of property that we were looking at, subdivision somewhere up here. So they're trying to like piece it all together.
It would be helpful to us that when these requests come in, that we just see an overlay of the updated trail map.
Yeah.
So
A lot
we
of
know
times
what
they
we're
do
looking
that,
at.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Trails.
I bet you can sort of see to the north, to the south, and there actually is another one in here that was part of the
Yeah.
homeowners
I
association.
thought they wanted to come down and then
And
to that
across.
road and then,
Yeah, well, they're looking at all these pieces in here as well
Mhm.
to make the connection. So
There's a feeder trail.
So the refund would be tied to a dedication of land
the
for
open
the
space has
trail?
already been dedicated to the town.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's already been
It was
dedicated.
already been dedicated with the recommendation
Yeah,
that a trail
it's-
go
it's-
through there.
We're just
Oh,
fixing
okay.
loops.
They're
Fixing
waiting for
the
their
little
money.
mistake.
okay. So, motion?
Motion?
Motion by Gloria, second by Craig, all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor, 1 absent.
Anthony, are the trails marked? Are the trails marked?
The existing trails, or
What do you mean by,
Wait a minute.
what do you mean by
But if
markings?
we're gonna have a trail easement there, will it be marked? Yeah, I know sometimes when.
no, it's not going to be delineated. The town owns the property now, so the trails could go in there and say where they want it.
But if there's a
specifically.
trail
But-
easement,
You're asking about markers on the ground or on the trees
Or-
to
Yeah, Craig wants to go
Post of
walking on the
trees.
trail.
Well,
wayfinding marks? Right.
Yeah.
what happens when there's a trail easement, and if the trails group wants to actually cut the trail, they will go with somebody from GIS that has the equipment on their backs,
Okay.
so that they could
So like-
actually make sure, if it's like only 20
No,
foot wide,
Scroll down.
that they know exactly where they
The
are
other
when
way,
they
scroll
mark
up.
it.
So they'll cut the trail.
So like that
then
big
cut the
trail
trail,
there,
yes.
I mean,
Okay,
if you walk,
thank you.
how do you walk that trail if you want to walk it?
How do you know it's there?
How do you know it's there? Is there a trail there?
This specific trail, I don't know. There's a lot of trails in the
Well, that's up to the trails.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, George.
I mean, anything that's marked, you will have on the GIS system if you look at that version of the map.
Yeah, I have to believe there's something because of
Just
having
curious.
our GIS and everything. Yep.
And the
Right.
public have access to delineated and cut trails?
Yeah.
Yes.
They do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Particularly when the
absolutely.
town, now this is town open space, so,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
all public.
If you go on to the town's website, you can, there's a whole lot of trails where you could actually print out
Yeah.
paint trails. And the trails group every weekend advertises 2 hikes.
I just realized
Oh,
it's
okay, good.
So Claire,
Good to know.
you're up next.
Oh.
Sandy Hollow. Sandy Hollow, followed by Atlantic Gulf, followed by 157, yeah, it's all you.
Okay. So Sandy Hollow, we were just tightening this up. So we had gone over the pre-submission reports. I'm gonna pass that out to you.
Thank you.
And I think Wayne's coming in,
On Zoom?
Kevin.
On Zoom,
Yeah.
Claire?
So if you're good with it, I'll just read the recommendations out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first one, site plan indicates existing rows of trees here out the.
Do we have it up? Yeah.
Yeah, let me put it up. This is where they're changing it from the car repair transmission place to this landscape contractor use on the property. I actually went out there yesterday. The building actually looks attractive. It looks very presentable. So I took that comment out under the appearance. And then these trees are substantial, 40-foot tall.
Where, Claire?
The ones right here along the road.
Uh-huh.
They're substantial, well thick, effective screening to the property. So that's all good. The only thing, maybe we have mentioned that this 50 feet they're establishing here, that this be planted out, and then the 20 feet we want on the west side.
Right.
Yeah, so that's number one. Number two, we talked about the trailers. They have one trailer here on the west side, and these trailers are being lined up at the 50-foot line, so we'll just relocate that. It's a special exception use, number three. The drainage, so it is gravel in these locations. It's only paved here. It'll be referred to the town engineer. We'll have his comments with that. Secra, it's an unlisted action. You had said that the archaeological wouldn't be required because it's been a disturbed site. But you did mention the impact of groundwater because it was a repair shop. So any environmental assessments would be relevant to your secret review. 6 is about the 50-foot buffer. And I think at the time you recommended like a low fence at the 2 buffers, so it was very delineated. Just note the fencing, which is 7, architecture and facades. They're not proposing any changes, but that one building is in good condition. The other ones are trailers and will be screened, so it should be good. Dumpsters existing on the property. There'll be a referral to DPW about the 3 accesses on the property. Septic system, health department review, screening of mechanicals, and the lighting. So far, what I've seen on the lighting on the site is in conformance, but we'll just make sure that it is during the process.
Who's representing this?
Wayne Brown,
Oh, hi, Wayne.
Good afternoon. I think this is everything we discussed at the last meeting, and Claire's covered it well, and we'll try to address everything with our final site plan.
Good. Any other questions from the board? Motion to adopt it?
Motion?
Motion by Gloria, second by Tom, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor, 1 absent. Adopted, Wayne, thank you.
Thank you. I'm sticking around for Atlantic.
Okay, next up, Atlantic.
Don't lose your signal.
So Atlantic, we had gone through the staff report last meeting, and you were amenable to the, I think, you want to come up? I'm going to pass out the decision, so I've just prepared a resolution. If you want to, in this case, we'll go through the conditions, or do you want to talk about anything in particular?
We have talked it over and over and over.
Okay, I'll go through the conditions, and we'll go from there.
My only comment is, there was an ad in the paper last week for an 8-bedroom, 10.5 bath house next door.
Just a small house?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a new house. It's,
That's
I
not a
think
small
it's
house.
back a little bit, but it's one of your neighbors.
Here's
So if
the-
you have overflow.
I,
I can share.
that was sort of an editorial comment.
10.5 baths.
Yeah.
So before you get into the resolution, Claire,
Yeah,
I mean, you
I
can't
just
see
want
it,
to,
but you can't really
you made
see
this
it
comment
because they
before we
don't
move forward into the health department approval, and I think it would be good in your findings, in your staff report, that you acknowledge that.
Yeah, I did mean to put the date of the health department approval in there. I probably didn't. So I will reference the date of the health department approval. Oh, actually, is that what's there?
For example, on page 8, section K.
Yeah, we've seen this so many times.
I think that's just the oversized one. I think it was a couple of days before.
page 8, which one? Wayne?
Subsection K, adequate provision for collection, disposal, stormwater runoff, and sanitary sewage. In the response.
Oh, I see, yeah. Health Department approval.
To add that health department has already approved the plan.
Okay.
And I'll put the date of the approval in there.
Yeah,
Okay.
good. All right, Claire.
Okay. Oh, I just wanted to pull up the actual aerial for you. So this is the location, it's in this cleared area on the property. And I will go through the conditions. So it is a special exception. And when we went through the special exception standards, under page 3, oh, actually, it is also a wetlands permit, so let me take a peek at that. So the first resolved on the bottom of page 1 is that you're granting a wetlands permit for the project. The first 1 through 10 are general conditions on every wetlands permit. 1 through 6 are the specific ones for this project. A, that it conforms to the approved plan. 2, I'm sorry, well, that's 1. 2, all project limiting fencing should be installed prior to commencement of work. 3, all portions of the proposed driveway and parking areas, with the exception of the required ADA compliant parking space, need to be built with permeable material, pavers, or cellular grass, reinforced concrete surfaces to allow for rainwater infiltration and catchment of runoff per the town code. So we went back and forth a little bit this week about this, and he's provided a plan that shows that just the ADA will have the compliance, so we'll refer to
Originally,
that.
we had from the road in.
Yeah.
We have to have the apron.
Apron.
Has to be paved. And then here is where the ADA is, so it'll be stone here and there.
Nice. Good.
4 discusses the 100-foot non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer that'll be established through an easement. 5 is the housing shall be equipped with leaders and gutters to accommodate the 3-inch rainfall. And then 6 is no pesticides or fertilizer will be used in the portion of the site area to be denoted in the declaration of covenants associated with the staff housing. So that's the wetlands permit. And then the second resolved would be the approval of the special exception use for living quarters for golf course employees. Subject to the following condition: the living quarters uses shall cease if the 18-hole golf course use ceases to operate on the property.
Wait,
And
you just dwell on that. So, I can't imagine the Atlantic would ever cease operation, but who knows? How would we want to word that condition? You have a residential structure in a residential zone that now cannot be used as a residence.
it can't be used as living quarter, well, they'd have to go get a change of use to a single-family residence, or whatever residential use is permitted in the zone, right?
Is that the good language of the living quarters that kind of suggests?
Can you hear Wayne?
I can. I understand what Claire is trying to say, and I understand what Dennis is suggesting. I believe that if the golf course were ever to cease, then the question, what happens to all the uses and everything on the property? It would require some sort of change of use and other review and approval. I think that the condition, if you, it's fine as it is, it's just a condition, so.
Okay, as long as we weren't, opening up who knows?
I mean, do you want me to specify the living quarters for the golf course employees? Do you want me
That'd
to
be
be a little bit
good,
more
Wayne, have it
specific?
Yeah, that's
specified.
fine.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
the golf course, yeah, that might be, maybe that's what I was looking for.
Okay.
And that leaves it open to whatever they want. to
Living
do.
quarters for
Right.
single-family residence, or two-family if it's
Right,
permitted.
two-family,
Yeah.
whatever.
Okay.
Well, it
they're
says
allowed.
employee housing, so.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no more employee housing, good.
Okay, I'll put that right in that condition. And then the third resolved is to adopt the staff reports and approve the site plan. And the conditions are, and some of these have been met, but they're just being repeated. 1A is indicate the location of the proposed 100-foot non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer labeled as an easement around the entire short pond. B, indicate the location of the proposed trail easement, 25 feet wide width. C, indicate the location of the proposed view shed easements. D, indicate the driveway and parking lot to be permeable materials with the exception of the ADA parking space and walkway. Put parentheses around that. And the changes to the landscape plan, the trail easements, the view shed easements, the meadow maintenance plan, which is noted on the plans, and indicate the driveway and parking lot. So when I wrote this, I hadn't had this plan that he submitted, so that'll be the plan incorporated.
Are we including view shed in that or not?
It's in there.
You should.
2B says the view shed. But it is reflected on the plans already, so.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a restating
Okay.
that.
Yeah, just so, there's a drawing which is strictly, it's
For the view
C5.
shed.
It shows right
Well,
on
it's
the
not,
plan.
it's actually, all of the easements are on one sheet,
Oh, good, that's nice.
so it's a simple.
So 3A, area disturbance shall be staked out prior to construction. B, compliance with the fire marshal. C is a screening of the HVAC systems. D is no dust to dawn fixtures. C is the compliance with outdoor lighting. F is 3,000 Kelvin or less for the lighting. No public address system is G. H is site inspections, and that's related to the engineering inspections. 4A, submission of lighting fixtures for the building. B is any engineering fees, it's $2,500 in this case. Affidavit. D is 6 sets of plans, and then prior to issuance of a building permit, secure health department approval, submission of the covenants, submission of the 100-foot buffer easements. D, submission of conservation, preservation, scenic easement. E is the trail easement. F is the land bank covenant for the 6 parking spaces. And 6A is maintenance bond for the landscaping.
I think you should delete the word on A to secure health department approval, just say health department approval. I mean, they already have it, right?
They have
Or
it,
not?
Yes.
So I would take out secure.
Okay.
Because it says items to be submitted, completed.
Okay,
Other than that, looks good.
great.
Wayne, any issues?
Any, other?
I was just gonna comment, just like Jackie did, on the health department. The thing, as Claire has indicated, and it's appropriate for the record, that many of these items have been submitted, are part of the plans, including we have previously submitted legal documents, which we'll review. We will do it again. But I just want to make sure that the board had done a substantial review the first time around, and now with the added conditions, you added more scrutiny to this plan, and the conditions, everything that's been stated in here, we can meet and have accepted previously, so we're okay with the resolution as proposed, as amended, as discussed here today.
Great. So, we're gonna adopt this now?
Please.
Oh, yeah. Motion to adopt?
Motion.
Motion by Gloria, second by Dennis, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in
It's
favor,
been
1
lovely.
absent. I hope we
The end
see
of the
you
process.
again one day. Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
It was nice being here.
Yeah,
3 years, who'd know?
we've aged since.
3 years, 5 years, I lost count.
Okay, Claire, 157 West Montauk Highway.
Good afternoon.
Oh,
Whoa. Also known as the Hampton Bays Diner.
Yes.
thank you.
Oh,
Matt
yes.
Aylward and Alex Baromenti,
We've met
architect
before.
How are
and engineer.
See you again.
See,
Here's a couple small versions, if you can share that. I have bigger versions if people prefer
No, it's
that.
okay.
Do you want to put one in the middle?
Sure.
And then careful of
Don't put it over the microphone.
yes, please. Unless somebody wants to use a large version, I just have a couple.
yeah.
small.
Send one down.
Please share.
Yeah. So let me give you a report. And you have a copy, right?
Yes, we have a copy.
Great. So this is the pre-submission conference report for the project. And it is an existing diner building, but it hasn't been used as a diner in a bit. It is considered like the gateway to Hampton Bays. So I think a lot of the comments at the public hearing, I'll just speak to that, was about the presentation, how it would look in the front. And then I guess they have a sign here for the hamlet of Hampton Bays right there. So the site plan is approval for 2 buildings, 8,058 square feet and about 6,000 square feet for medical office and office uses on a 1.94 acre parcel, improved with existing diner building located in HB zoning district situated at 157 West Montauk Highway in the hamlet of Hampton Bays. Pre-submission conference was held on January 25th. The following comments were received during the conference. Gateway to the community should be a beautiful building, should be extensively landscaped, maintain 50-foot setback to the front, and no comments were received during the 30-day written comment period. Items to be submitted for the site plan is a full site plan application, site plan, engineering, elevations, landscaping, and lighting information, a stormwater pollution prevention plan to the town engineer. So the site is currently improved. The building formerly used as a restaurant diner, and due to its location at the intersection of 24 Montauk Highway, is considered the gateway to the hamlet of Hampton Bays. The site is immediately located next to the hamlet of Hampton Bays identification sign. It is a type 1 action. SECRA needs to be completed prior to deeming the site plan complete. Appearance of the building. The front elevation north is incorrectly labeled as a rear elevation, has no features presenting to the front of the property. So I'm just considered, when I was looking at this, this is,
Sign is straddling.
this one does face the road, and it doesn't seem to have any features that break it up or anything. It's like a wall. So I just make the comment that it should present to the road too. They're seeing that this is the thing, and it will be visible from that road, but both sides should have some presentation to the road in terms of like either doorways or window features
Some
or something to that
articulation,
effect.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
architectural.
exactly. So, but otherwise, I think you like the materials being
Yeah,
used.
very attractive building.
Yes, exactly, so. So, you know, maybe a recommendation to meet with the ARB ahead of time before a formal application. So the site is flagged as requiring a referral to landmarks. I looked it up, I think it was in the 50s, or maybe in the 40s, that the original building, which has been redone several times, was built, so.
Not the same building.
So the original site plan had 2 buildings, one 8,058 square feet, and the rear building at 8,810. That would have put it above the 15,000 that's permitted, so they've reduced their plan to about 6,000 to the rear building. But I think they're even going down to 59 and change.
5950.
Yeah, exactly, so I just want to point that out. So this is part, we've had a lot of discussion back and forth. Part of the parking is adjacent to the building on the west side, whether you'd want to orientate the buildings more in front, but the access is a problem here. So I'm not quite sure how you want to make a comment that they should put the buildings in the front and the parking in the rear.
I think
What is that, is it a drainage, what
I was
is
gonna
that
say,
thing that
I
comes
think the
down
drainage
that's
easement
forcing?
is what's really.
It's a drainage
swale.
easement,
It's a state drainage easement to the sun.
right, and that pushes everything over.
Yeah, that's what's really
To the
driving the
east.
parking being along that side. and the
So they
buildings.
can't put a building in that area,
Yeah.
just parking?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
Correct.
because of that.
okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I'm going to say that due to the drainage easement, the parking has to be
Yeah, I
oriented.
mean, the drainage easement
Yeah.
has dictated the entire site, actually, right?
That's very common. We've come up with other site plans like that.
But there's no problem like heavily screening that parking in that area, so that's,
Yeah.
shall
It should
recommend
be
that?
landscaped, you know, every, what is it, Claire, 10 spaces, 20 spaces? We should have a tree, some grass. I mean,
Right,
it also creates some shade, which is good for parking areas.
So compliance with 330, I think that's 99J, which requires the internal landscaping.
Yeah.
Okay. That would be the next one, 7. And, so they're showing the proposed cross-access to the east. Should we show future cross-access to the west?
There
Which
Did
there
it-
is,
yeah.
in the bottom left corner is cross-access.
Is there? Is it showed on the
Yeah, it's like a
second?
dashed line.
Okay.
Probably,
Between the two islands?
I'm looking
three
for
to
that
four
too.
spots up.
Right between the
Right,
two
right,
islands?
just to the left of
show?
your
Right,
pen.
yeah.
Take your pen to the left.
Here.
Nope,
Here.
to the left, to your left. Right there. That's it, right there.
Right here.
Yeah, see those dashed lines? That would be the proposed future cross-access.
Okay.
Does that town easement run behind this property, you know? The Canoe Place extension, even though it's not currently on
It's
the table?
down here, and you'd have to go through the
State property.
state, so.
Jury charge?
Oh,
right.
so it doesn't,
we
it doesn't
have
extend as far?
To this,
You'd have to go up, you're
'Cause
supposed to
at
go
one
up
time
that
it was
property line
supposed
and
to
come through, yeah.
Run all the way
over.
through that Canoe, Good Ground Road extension.
right, and then the problem is the state sump, is how you get through the state sump.
Right,
Why do they have that there? The state-
I guess.
way back when,
Isn't
Road
it?
system. They sold it drainage off 24.
yeah.
That,
Low
That's why
spot.
the easements.
I'm glad
A
you
lot of
mentioned
water,
that.
A lot of impervious surfaces.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Dennis, because it is a bit of a concern to me that I think approval of this plan effectively kills any possibility of making that alternate road into the
Well, not
hamlet
if we establish a cross-access
Because I think
to the south.
that would allow
the plan would have to
future-
come
through the
down.
Yeah, we'd have
parking
to
lot.
come down
Go
and
back up,
notch up
go
and
back
then
up
go.
that road, that town property, and make a left onto this property again.
But you had, at our last work session, you had Janice Scherer come in and tell you it's effectively dead,
Dead.
Yeah.
right? So I don't think that's in the plan in any way,
Yeah.
shape, or form. The community came out.
Right, and I will say, I think you were the first folks to tell us that you'd been told to
Yeah.
go
Move
ahead
on.
and proceed, which,
Yeah.
I'll be honest, is a concern. You know, all due respect to you gentlemen, I think, you know, maybe we
It's
should have
not really a
heard
factor.
somehow else that
You guys
that had
back up to
been.
the sump there.
Well, listen, we spent a lot of time with the town, waiting for them to come up with a plan for that. I mean, I think it
Right.
was 2 years at least until we got this application in,
Yeah.
that we sat around waiting, right? And finally, you know, they saw pity on us and said, it's not gonna happen, go ahead and make your
There were
application.
2 or 3 variations here, using that property next door,
Swap.
moving the
Yeah,
building,
there was a
swapping
swap,
it.
yeah.
That never happened, and,
We were pretty patient through that process.
yeah, it's an awkward piece, you know?
Time to
Yeah.
move.
And then we talked about if there's a traffic circle there, you're okay with that. you know?
Correct.
In fact,
Yeah.
that would help you.
It would.
It
People
does,
can get right out and onto that traffic circle and go east or west or
correct.
out of
North.
town.
Right, and that is another idea that's, I think, hopefully gonna be,
I hope.
you know, pursued
Well, in your-
going
yeah.
forward, yeah.
We- Your committee, yeah.
We did speak to the state, and they said they have absolutely no plans for a traffic circle.
But we
As of
can't
yet.
accommodate it.
But
if
we
it
can
happens.
accommodate it if it ever
Yeah.
happened. Yeah, we were trying to confirm with them, and they said, no, it's not on the books for
Right,
now.
well,
Dialogue needs
plans
to-
have been developed, whether they,
Is that right?
again, we'll have to have
Yeah,
some,
we had
They
some plans.
they
Right.
brought something out that didn't affect
saw
our
it.
property.
Right, yeah, we had that, yeah.
Janice gave it.
Yeah, which we
Yeah.
overlaid.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, like you said, works great with our,
Perfect for you.
with us, yeah.
yeah. And the comment I made was not a reflection on you folks.
No,
At all, okay.
So Claire, what are you talking about architecturally, about, it's the building that's angled, the front building? So that it shows some architectural interest.
I'm sorry, did I bring?
You have a rendering or an elevation?
Yeah, I have them.
I think probably in the big,
The north facade, Jackie, the one
Yeah,
facing
this
the
one,
road.
right?
No, the other way, along the road, this side here.
This one?
this
Yeah.
side.
Doesn't have any.
Just very little, I
we
mean,
didn't-
just see that,
We didn't render the
very
elevation,
little
but. This is
shown
the front
there.
you're looking at, and this is the road, so
Oh,
there's
right,
nothing
right,
here, it's
there's
just like a
nothing
blank
there.
wall.
Yeah.
Well, there's no
Yeah.
parking there now.
Huh?
There's no parking there now.
There's no parking, I'm just saying it's a blank wall and it's facing the street.
It's not blank, it actually has 3 different materials.
Well,
but we'll-
yeah, but-
We'll get more articulated. It's also a 50-foot buffer there.
Yeah, but we want your building to look
Of course,
attractive.
as do we.
Yeah, so.
We have no problem enhancing that elevation. with
Yeah, there's some
articulation.
breaking, and that's why I think with,
Right, right, right.
hoping
That's
this is
changed.
the one.
Yeah, it's this,
Yeah,
not
I think
that.
that's-
No,
one,
it's
the other one.
not. That actually is interesting.
Be nice.
No.
That's not it either.
this
No,
part is
it's not fine.
And they have buffer.
No, it's not on some of these things. It wasn't refined. I think you got
I
the point,
understand.
right?
Yeah.
We don't have it.
Yeah, exactly. And so work with the ARB and then come back and we'll look at
Okay.
it through the process.
Where are you on the list,
I
Claire?
think we're up to traffic. Traffic study will be required. The count shall include summer and morning and afternoon commutes in the spring and fall, or fall.
Can we talk about that? Doing those counts is a challenge, and I think we have a better protocol to do it, and I'll ask Matt to explain it to you, but I think we have historic data from last summer.
Correct. The state has data from 24 as well as Montauk Highway that
Right.
we'd like to utilize as those summer counts in the interest of
When
saving
did
time.
they do it?
2023. They did
August.
Montauk Highway in July, and they did 24 in August.
Yeah.
That's irrelevant. August, there's no traffic.
What?
There's no traffic in August. I
In
sit
August?
there. In August for the commutes there's no traffic coming into Southampton,
No, but as far as counts.
but it counts.
They're saying they have the
They
state
have
counts for
state
August,
counts.
and what was the other
July.
one?
We have
July.
July and August for the state for the maneuvers through south and north on 24, as well as east and west on Montauk Highway.
Okay.
And you want to use that data in lieu of us doing, physical counts.
Mhm.
But
Is that right?
one road was in July and one road was in August.
Correct.
And Claire is saying August is not a good month to pick.
Yeah, I mean, it's just gridlock starting April to,
So what months?
But that's
would-
isn't that the worst case
But
scenario?
we
the
want
most
spring, right?
conservative?
Well, it's interesting because what happens is that those road traffic count things don't get triggered when the, right,
No,
Tom,
there's
when the
too much
traffic is
congestion.
stalled.
Right.
When you're at a standstill, it's not registering on the road monitor. I might be not using the technical terms.
I think you're onto something. We've talked about it at other locations where the
Yes.
traffic is so heavy that you're not showing any traffic flow because they're
'Cause it's
bumper to
not
bumper.
moving.
No, but it's
But-
registered, it registers, it's a traffic counter. It's not like the loop detection that we're thinking with like signals and things like that, where, yeah, I would
It's not
agree with you.
free flowing, but again, we're getting a little caught up. My thought here would be, if it's appropriate, and I imagine it's appropriate, is that we have someone evaluate your I'm
Yeah, take
not
a
saying
look at
I'm opposed to that
Yes.
suggestion,
Okay.
and I think if there's existing data,
Yeah, have your,
we
Have
don't
a
want to
traffic
reinvent the
consultant
wheel.
look at it.
have your traffic guy, if he'll confirm and
traffic
feel
guy.
the state counts are valid, then sure, why?
The only
why
thing I
wouldn't
would
it?
suggest is if it's July and August data, because Claire's right, traffic is very congested in July and August, I would say maybe one of the other seasons, spring or fall perhaps, to, more of a
Prefer
free-flowing.
Spring,
I think-
we have
They're
no
in
problem
spring.
counting spring,
The
correct.
point is that if you have gridlock traffic that's barely moving, you don't get a lot of vehicles,
Look at the count.
you don't get a counted number of vehicles per hour.
But it,
What's the worst case?
Right.
well, it's
No,
not the worst
it's
case.
not the worst
The worst case is spring and fall with the schools being open and people trying to get to Southampton.
right, but the way the state counts is, and maybe I'm just belaboring this, but it puts the cables across the road and it counts the tire traffic that passes over it, so whether the car is sitting there or not, it's still counting each wheel.
Right.
But is it?
But during a
moving
period of
so- when
time,
they're
they do it.
moving
Yeah,
fast,
if
No,
it's
it's all-
not,
So-
if it's
yeah,
not
it's fine, it
moving.
doesn't
does it
matter.
affect
I think
the
we're
count?
okay with
No,
the
sure, no.
summer counts, which is the state,
Right.
and then just doing counts in the spring would be fine. Don't you think?
Spring or fall? Which-
Spring or fall, Either one.
We're not doing
Either one.
spring.
Spring.
Yeah,
And-
we're trying to get it
Spring.
done.
And we know from, again, previous studies and, my previous, and you folks have probably seen this too, May and October are very similar, or April, May, September, late September and October are gonna be very similar. So, as Claire said, I think we use the high
you gotta
season
do it
stuff
now.
and use
Yeah.
Yeah.
one of the shoulder season,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
not, you don't have to, I don't think you have to do both.
No, no, spring's fine.
Okay.
Okay,
So
Yeah.
state numbers for the summer, and then they're doing counts for the spring.
and we'll have our traffic consultant look at those numbers.
Perfect. Who is the traffic consultant?
I think we have to.
We'll have to
Pick
hire them.
one.
Okay.
You guys have one?
We'll we'll do our own traffic study.
Yeah,
But we have to have somebody look at it.
yeah, we hire our own people over your people.
So the access, there's gonna be 2 access points, so that should be reviewed by obviously the DOT and DPW, as they both have jurisdiction. The stormwater pollution prevention plan, reviewed by the town engineer. Sustainability, this is your typical statement, though it includes recommendations for solar and other measures, including charging stations.
Charging stations, yeah.
On the property.
That's gonna be the code amendment.
And then landscaping, so there's existing mature trees along the eastern lot line should be surveyed, preserved, and incorporated into the proposed landscape plan. Add street trees along Montauk Highway. Additionally, in the interest of climate resiliency, the use of drought-tolerant native plant species needs to be favored over the installation of ornamental vegetation, which require increased irrigation, fertilizer, and other maintenance. So that's my recommendation on that.
Eric, could we focus for a moment on the existing Hampton Bays welcome sign that's straddling the lot line up by the road?
Is it on the lot line?
It's showing on their map,
Oh, it is, okay.
straddling. I always thought it may be appropriate there to establish some sort of, what I would call Hampton Bays welcoming node, be something maybe just a little more formal. It could involve a planting, certainly the sign, welcome to Hampton Bays, but maybe honoring first responders or something like that. I would leave it to the Hampton Bays Civic Association to, just a small note, you know what I'm talking about?
Delineation to really.
Right, a small node with maybe some formal planting, could be in the possibly
Stone
semicircle or,
platform.
right, a little stone, small stone wall of that nature. That would be a great location for something like that. It's good visibility, it's there already, you have the sign there, it's gotta be moved in.
Right.
But just to carve out a little community welcome node, that would be the spot.
On their property.
Yeah, on their property.
Hampton Bays
And it could be
beautification.
maintained by the Civic as a beautification
Civic.
community.
Right, they already
do the island
manage
there, they
the,
maintain
uh,
island.
They do that.
They manage the
Yeah,
plantings in
they
the
maintain the
median.
medium,
Beautiful
yeah,
park.
so maybe we could carve out a little.
That's a
Yeah.
nice idea.
That's a good idea. I don't know if they have kids. What do they think?
I don't see any pushback from the applicants.
You guys okay?
Yeah,
Why not?
What choice do we have?
Yeah, young.
Susan Von Freddie
We're
may be able
nice.
to persuade
We
you.
haven't done the impact statement yet, right?
I think she
I
has.
could feel the enthusiasm.
Nothing to, you know,
Okay, 14 buffers, are you up to buffers?
that kind of falls into the buffer.
Yeah.
Let's see if I should-
Oh, okay. I actually kind of folded it into number 1 because I mentioned the sign, but it's,
Signage, yeah.
yeah. So they're maintaining the buffers in the front and it's not adjacent to any residential zone properties. The sanitary system is proposed to be an IA system, and it shall meet the health department's requirements, and the referrals to be made pursuant to the site plan requirements. And due to the scope of the project, as well as the need for cross-access, a public hearing shall be held. So that's my recommendation.
Claire, did you add on the parking, the landscaping?
Islands?
mode, islands?
Yes. Mhm. So you want to do it with those changes? So,
Just
go ahead.
one point, at our last, I guess we had a work session as opposed to the public hearing, Dennis suggested or requested that we take the building down. And that's really an anathema to a land use lawyer who, you lose your rights when you take it down. But we considered it, and the challenge is you have a year from the time you take it down to put a foundation in to vest your rights. So the quicker we can move this, the closer we can get to it. And one of the things that I thought about yesterday, and I talked to council, was coming up with some sort of reservation of vested rights agreement, where the town would say that we have the rights that exist with the current building. It gets taken down, and at least I feel comfortable that I haven't given up some right that may come back to bite us in the future. So I think, council and I can put together some sort of agreement. Christine suggested I go to the town board with it, which is a good idea, but I'd ask you today that you would say that you would be in favor of some sort of
Would you be
reservation
ready
rates.
to go as soon as it's torn down? or
Well, we have
what's
to
the
go, we have to
point?
go through the
You have a lot of stuff to get together,
demolition
right?
permit.
Well, while the process is unfolding, we could take that ugly eyesore, welcome to
Oh,
Hampton
no.
Bays.
That's why I wanted to go to the town board to get what they feel would be the
Yeah,
wiser
they might
path.
want it to
And
just
if
stay
they're
up until
in
you're
favor of
ready
it,
to
certainly we
build,
can work
you
it
know?
out.
Really? I know every resident in Hampton Bays wanted that thing down for the
And there
last
are
10
some
years.
people who said, it's landmark status, so, yes, we had public hearing.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes, we did.
there's,
It's not landmark.
No, it's not.
but that
Well,
doesn't
it's
mean
been
people.
drastically renovated, so it would kick it out
Right.
of landmark status.
Yeah.
It's a deteriorating eyesore, and it's been an embarrassment in Hampton Bays for the last 12 years. You come off the highway and there it is.
Yep.
So the sooner you can get it down, you'd have a lot of public support.
So Christine, you think that town board?
I would like for them to opine on it, and certainly if the community is supportive of it, they'll have their pulse on that and
Okay.
agree that that's the greatest idea.
Yeah, there'd have to be a public hearing. you know.
Not a public hearing, but
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 work
just to-
session we talked
Yeah.
about, but as long as we have your approval, that's what we need now, and then we'll work through the process as council lays out.
I'd love to see that building.
Well, I wouldn't like to see, it's just a construction lot with nothing happening.
Oh, no,
You
it's
know?
part of the resolution, they would have to
Clean it up.
grade it, seed it, do a just temporary landscape thing, So you're not looking at a dirt, pile
Had
of
people
dirt.
been breaking into the building?
Yes.
Yeah. We'd be happy to, if we could maintain our rights, we'd be happy to take it down and make it look nice, yeah.
Well, they should be protected.
Make it look nicer. I don't know that it'll be nice until the buildings
Be
are.
very welcome in the Hampton Bays community, I tell you.
Okay, so any other comments? Any other comments?
Can we get, so everybody is okay
You're
with,
okay
with pursuing this option of the vested rights?
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I think you have to have those, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
But as long
And then
as the
we'll do a
board's
resolution.
comfortable.
Council
once
will-
it's settled, we'll do a resolution with them authorizing me to
Yeah,
be
we-
able to sign in, or
Okay.
the
We'd have to draft
supervisor,
a whole
whoever, to
resolution.
sign an agreement with you.
Okay.
And as part of that
I
resolution,
would
we
like
tell
to
you
hear the town
what we
board's
want to see
opinion.
there,
That's what I'm
just
saying. Yeah,
temporary
because
seeding,
that
it's very-
nothing
There
extravagant.
may
Right,
be
as long as it's
divergence
restored in some
Hampton
way.
Bays
Yeah,
opinion.
just so it's like the lawn.
Can't be a liability.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Agreed.
Okay?
All right.
So
We
are
answered
we
your
adopting this, or?
questions?
I support adopting the pre-submission conference report. The changes would be to establish some kind of welcome node related to that sign in the front. And then it would be also that due to drainage easements, the parking is designed the way it is on the west hand side. There'll be some landscaping of the parking on the west. 330-99J, which is the interior landscaping. There is cross-access shown on the west side.
Architectural interest on the,
North.
Yes,
North.
I already have that as in the report before. The count shall, in the summer, shall be the state numbers, and there should be spring actual counts. For the
Delineation
morning
of the,
feeds.
of the charging stations.
reviewed
Shared
by our
stations are
traffic
in there.
consultant.
Right, traffic consultant review, and then, the charging stations.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay,
And
so
one-
there's a lot of
Yep.
changes, but you're
Well, not a
comfortable
lot.
with the changes?
Yes.
Is everybody comfortable with
Nothing
the
major,
changes?
there's nothing major.
All right, Claire, you'll give us a remit.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna do that this
Okay.
next week, but I'll adopt it if you're good with that.
Okay,
Great.
so motion to adopt, with Craig, second by Gloria, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor, 1 absent.
We look
Moving
forward to
along.
coming back.
We're moving forward. Yeah, great. Looks like a great project.
Thank you.
A lot of good work there.
Thank you.
So my next
Is
one
that
is.
your folder?
No.
No, that's ours.
That's yours, Claire?
So I-
Puccio,
Yes, Puccio is an extension of the action deadline until April 25th.
Motion.
extension to April 25th. Motion by Dennis, second by Gloria, all in favor. Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor, 1 absent.
What number is Puccio?
6.
6?
Or 7.
7.
7 on the new version.
We were told it was taken off.
Yeah. Now, number 8 is off.
Yep, that's true.
Bud Hampton.
Number 8, Bud Hampton is off.
No, Bud Hampton's on.
8 is Jose
8.
Rojo.
Oh, sorry.
Jose,
So which is off?
you know, we all
We
Jose
all
is
have
off.
different numbers because the agenda
Jose is
changed.
off. And number 20, Eastport Bible Church is off.
Or number 19 on my agenda.
Right, I know, well, I'm using the new agenda now. And CAP is off, number 21.
And
And
PAD.
PAD is off, number 22, but there are some additions. Okay.
Okay.
Anthony, your Bud Hampton?
Yep.
Wait, did you put 225 and 251 in? Did you include that?
That's the walk-on, and it's gonna be just the schedule.
Okay, you want to do it anywhere in here?
Yeah, as soon as I'm done with my
Okay.
couple of things. The new report's coming down. Everyone knows the project, Bud Hampton.
Hi, Carl,
We've discussed
how are
it.
you?
We went through the report last time, identified, all the issues. There were just some minor changes to the report. But if you look at number 2,
You have extra copies?
Oh,
I think you guys have?
No.
You guys have
No,
We
two
need
copies?
two more, Anthony. Yeah.
no problem.
If you want, here, you can have one.
We need one more.
There
Thank
go.
you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it.
Oh,
Wait, I got it.
you're good?
So then real quick here, in the second of the comments, if you look at the third paragraph, I added additional issues the planning board identified include, Craig mentioned timed parking, George mentioned accident reports for this section of highway, and new trip generation data for this specific site. The only other thing I'm gonna recommend in here, number 2, the one thing that we spoke about, we were a little lukewarm on it, was this concept of getting everybody from this site out to the light. Whether we would do that as a matter of a future cross-access or implement it now, if the discussions with the applicant and with Janice, we're gonna implement as part of this application. How that gets designed, the nature of the improvements will work out, with engineering. But even Carl's got a little sketch there to show the board that in fact they will bring everybody out to
Here's
the light.
right?
So this is cross-access on the other piece of property that.
Correct.
Tom
That's
is on.
Correct. It's actually, it's two different
It's
properties.
2, yeah.
Okay.
But we
And
give-
he owns both.
Carl Benacasa, 860 Montauk Highway for the applicant, yeah.
So that's the only thing I'm gonna add then to this report in item number 2, was that the plan should account for access to the light for this project. I think that would be my only other.
This would actually be constructed.
Yes.
It would be constructed as part of this application.
Right.
There would be no egress from the site itself. It would be
Onto-
strictly to the light.
And this,
So you'd have ingress to the lot, ingress from the light, and egress to the light.
So you could,
I wasn't
it's
paying-
permanently limited.
This
Yeah.
would not
The
be
use
there?
of-
No, that won't be.
Yeah, no, it'll solve a lot of traffic problems.
and
Absolutely.
is the bus shelter tucked in right next to that little access road?
It's
Is that
before that.
that
It's
little box
before
I
that.
see?
Bef-
Where
It's
is?
before Tom.
And we're considering,
It's might be right here.
I heard, there's new names on the
that's it.
table.
Oh, good.
It's the little things that make me happy, Carl.
Bridgehampton Green was one of them, but nothing's been decided, but that's one of them.
Leaves?
What'd you say?
Leaves.
Yeah,
And
Hampton Leaves.
architecturally, do you have any architectural renderings?
We do have some. I don't think they've been formally submitted yet.
No, not yet. Just
But
your-
I can
your
show you.
Existing building
Sure.
is your plan, but.
I mean, they're basic now, and you'll certainly, these will
Hold
be
it up
worked
so
upon.
all of us
But
can-
you can see it's,
Yeah.
there's white panel siding, the windows are not the full length anymore.
Mm-hmm.
This has the old name on it. We hadn't changed it yet,
Right.
but,
So
You could
flat
have a
roof,
concept.
peaked roof,
Yeah.
right?
You could have a contest for naming
no,
it.
we're not gonna do that.
For the record, they do have a schedule, I'm sending them to the ARB,
Yeah, we
for a
are
little
going to the
You
preliminary.
want an entry door facing Montauk Highway?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It should look like a coffee shop, a little,
Yeah.
when it's done.
What's happening with the sidewalk along there?
You know,
That's the state.
yeah, my guess is, when they come in, and we do the referral for this application, they're gonna have requirements, as part of this, but.
And then we plan to, we'll have a full landscape plan, but as you can see, the concept is to privet or hedge the
All the way
entire.
Yeah, let me, Carl, take a look at this. The concept
so-
is, please tell the applicant, don't be stingy with the landscaping.
Yeah.
It's beautifully landscaped.
Isn't it?
If you like asphalt trees.
Early American asphalt.
So this would be now submitted to the state for their review of this,
It'll be referred to them as
Egress
part of the
for-
application, yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
And this has been engineered out that it
No,
comes in right
are
next
you-
to the
Are you looking
shelter?
at a plan they gave us?
I'm looking at
That's
the-
just a concept, I wouldn't spend too much time on that. That's just, they were demonstrating that they're willing
That's us demonstrating our.
Yeah.
to bring it out to the
Okay.
light.
You
That's
control
not
the
a
crystal
design
ball.
yet.
Okay, because I think in previous discussions, we said the shelter would have to be moved, which I
Yeah.
just was curious about.
I don't think, where is the bus shelter?
It's awfully close to that cross.
It's right there.
But
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
It would
Across
probably
the-
have to be relocated. yeah.
It says relocated bus shelter on the map.
Okay.
Can put it in Bridgehampton. We don't have one.
I mean, the state will
No,
have to
but you
look
need
at
it there. That's a
Yeah.
very popular,
Yeah.
that's a popular for the
All the
employees
workers,
who
yeah.
come
Yeah,
out of
they're
this
all
comments,
using
yeah.
that, yep.
But with that additional, statement about the implementation of the access to the light, I think that would be my only other change.
That's
It's a big.
major.
Yeah. Put that in there, and that would be my final change.
So just to clarify, the state regs that have changed somewhat, is the condition still that an applicant needs to have a site plan application in before he can get a license? That was the chicken and the egg situation. I just wanted to clarify whether the state had changed that.
I
You
don't
can't
believe
get
that.
a license until you
No, I
have.
mean, the state's licensing requirements, they issued like the preliminary licenses, and then
To people who have been convicted of marijuana
Right,
offenses.
right. Or the
ultimately, they're
justice-
going to give the final licenses out upon basically completion of this process, is my guess.
That's what I'm asking you. In
Yeah,
other
I'm pretty
words-
sure that, it'll be a condition of the approval, of course,
Mhm.
but they're gonna have to get to a certain point. For the
Right.
state's gotta be comfortable that they have the site and ready to go.
Because I had asked, why do we go through all of this if you don't have a license? And then I was told it's a sort of a chicken and egg thing. The state has to see that you have an active application, if not approved, before they give you the license.
That's right.
So,
Yep, that's
And
absolutely.
under the town's regs,
The state law says you have to have control of the property.
control of the property, okay, that's an interesting word, isn't it?
Yeah, so like a signed lease, in theory, would be sufficient, however, who's gonna sign a lease if there's no guarantee that it can get through the site plan
Right.
process?
Good, thanks, Teresa.
and the
Okay.
town regs say, it just condition CO on the license. The license is required for the CO, but everything else up until then,
Mhm.
including permits.
Right,
You don't.
okay, so you'll do an ARB. You'll
Yeah,
do
they're
the
already
ARB.
scheduled, so.
And you have color rendering, you'll have color rendering.
That'll all come, yeah, sure.
Westbound left turn.
They exist, I just don't have them with me
Yeah,
today.
okay.
At that signal.
So what else are we doing here? That's
Just
it?
adding that one
Because it's only-
statement, so I'd recommend adopting the pre-app, I mean, the pre-submission conference.
Yeah.
You're recommending that we adopt it?
Yep.
Okay.
Do you
Any
want
other
copies of
questions?
these now, or?
To submit them to us.
No, okay.
Any other questions on this? Nope,
No, not at the moment.
not at the moment. Okay, motion to adopt the pre-app report.
Motion.
Motion by Gloria, and second by Dennis, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor, 1 absent. Okay.
Kevin, is Keith Brown on there?
Wow. Happens to this day. And we don't want any,
So we're moving to number 10, 911 Flanders
permissive,
LLC.
left turn signals right, the slow traffic.
So, at our last discussion, the board might recall, AKRF is assisting with the review.
Yes.
There was some, they've expended the budget, there was some additional information that they requested. A lot of it had to do with some of the DOT data, the pass-by information, whether the DOT, acknowledges or agrees with the information. We had a discussion last time. We agreed that we would ask our consultant for an updated proposal for the additional scope of services to bring this, review to a conclusion. I got that proposal this morning, when I got in. I forwarded it to the board. I should say, prior to doing that, the applicant did submit additional information as it pertains to the DOT. I forwarded it to the board.
Yeah.
I did forward it to AKRF, and then they came up with this proposal to do the additional work with the 4 meetings, and it was, an additional escrow of $10,000. I spoke with the applicant today, and they, sent an email. They understood and agreed that the, AKRF would need to do information to bring this to conclusion, but they raised a question about, the amount. And I think Keith wants to address the board, which obviously, let's hear what he has to say. Maybe, I could go back to AKRF with some more specifics to try to get a more detailed type of proposal. But let's hear what the applicant has to say and the board at that point.
Madam Chair, members of the board, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Give us your full name, Keith. Give us your full name.
Keith Brown, Holman and Philly LLP. I'm driving right now, so I apologize.
Can you pull over?
Yeah, please pull over.
Everything that Mr. Trezza said is accurate. We just question the fact that, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we question the amount of the escrow that was asked by AKRF. So we actually sent an email to the consultant at AKRF. We CC'd Anthony Trezza on that email, and we asked him to be reduced to $3,000. This project has been going along for quite some time. We got the answer finally that we were looking for from the DOT. We included some additional information about other projects and the pass-by rate that was utilized by the town planning board on those projects. So at this point, there is no more additional information. It's just a matter of him just summarizing it to the board in a memo, and then we can get to a determination on this project.
Have you heard? You haven't heard back from AKRF?
No.
Okay.
Well, we just thought that the $10,000. They normally ask for $10,000. As a matter of course. We just thought that was excessive considering the amount of work that's required here to bring this to a conclusion.
I mean, I guess
for it to be reduced to $3,000.
my only comment is that they talked about 4 meetings. It seemed like from my perspective, and I don't understand everything that was in that letter, that they seemed to think there was a lot more work that they needed to do, including on-site work at the proposed facility.
I don't disagree, Gloria. What I haven't been able to do, and I spoke to Keith today about this, and I haven't been able to speak to Matthew subsequent to all this, which is who I really need to speak to, so I could sort of grasp a little bit. So I'm not sure, I wouldn't recommend that the planning board today agree to a contract to $10,000 until I speak to AKRF a little bit and see if I could, because I also don't know that, if they've looked at in complete detail the significant information that came in relating to the DOT. So I just don't know at this point.
And
Just on that note, could I just mention that the information from the DOT was simply that they agreed with the pass-by rates that were utilized by our consultant, Southampton Engineering, in putting together the traffic impact study.
Gotcha.
So that was the information that they needed to confirm our numbers. So therefore, they're just, in all honesty, there is nothing really more that needs to be done. And we asked in our last letter if there was anything specific that was needed, and we have not gotten a response.
Okay.
So
What did they start
outside
out
of that-
quoting us at?
What was that?
What did they start out quoting us at?
If I remember correctly, we were looking at roughly $7,000 was paid towards this traffic review
Already?
so far. Yes.
And that included how many meetings?
It was supposed to be up to 4, but monies had to be moved from meetings to technical review because of some back and forth that happened.
All right, so they got 7 already, and then this is calling for 2 internal reviews and 1 site visit more.
And 4 meetings, yeah.
It doesn't say 4 meetings in there, another
does.
4.
It does,
It does?
yeah.
It doesn't say that.
So maybe that
I
can
don't
be
know if they
trimmed.
need
I mean,
another
there's
4
trimming,
meetings.
right?
Yes,
You know, ways- Let Tom.
What I would suggest is perhaps something that, with a not-to-exceed amount to be determined, perhaps after some more discussions with Matthew, and, with a breakdown of the hours as to what tasks they undertake and accomplish as part of that. So maybe a not-to-exceed amount rather than a flat amount. And I've also offered perhaps to be, in on the conversation with Matthew about this to try to, again, meet a good middle point for everybody.
So that's what we've come up with, Matthew. I mean, Keith.
Keith.
Okay. And that sounds fair. As you know, we want to move the project along, so we're okay with the not-to-exceed number.
All right, so I'm going to, like I said, it's been happening over the course of days. We'll come back. We'll put it back on, and I will have something more detailed,
Good.
and for Matt for next time. Does that
Great.
work?
Yep.
It does, but if for some reason there is something else, we really, want to have specifics so that we can get that information as quickly as possible to the board members.
That's,
I agree with that, Keith, so.
We'll do the best we can. Keith, please drive safely.
Yes,
Thank you.
signal and changing lanes.
Okay.
Man, that makes me so nervous.
I
Yeah,
am
no, it's-
going
I hate
to
that.
suggest,
Living dangerous.
I am going to suggest that perhaps we have a policy that we don't take Zoom calls from people that are driving.
Man,
Yep,
I
I
would back
agree.
you in a heartbeat on that.
I agree
I-
with you. Can we do that?
I think we could post that, or whatever it could be.
I'm sure there's no law on that, sure. Other than-
Yes, but it's a policy. I agree with you.
Right, right. If you look at,
You'd be surprised
if
what
you look
people
at
call
safety
doing.
statistics, and I just completed a safety course, whether you're holding the phone or not holding the phone,
You're distracted.
you have a much
Your mind
higher
is
Oh, yeah.
different.
accident rate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Applicants or?
People are called with wine in their hand.
with a glass of wine in their hand.
Well,
I went to a
I've seen
Zoom
that.
call with somebody that was drinking.
Not while driving.
Not while driving, no.
To be very honest, I'm mostly concerned about the other drivers on the road.
Or zooming and drinking at the same.
If the
Yeah.
person wants to injure
Just trying to
themselves,
read
that's
it.
fine, but they're taking other people's
Yeah,
lives
sure.
at risk.
The only other one.
Exactly, I've seen these meetings.
Sorry. You went through everything, so I'll just do my one walk-on, Jackie, then next. There's no
Yes,
action on this
walk-on
one.
is.
This is for the site plan special exception application of 225 and 251 Butter Lane, to schedule the hearing for April 25th, 2024.
This is the alpaca farm?
No, this is the Farrell
Okay.
mini storage, just for the board's record. I verbally said last time, this is going to be for the subdivision application and for the site plan
Right.
special exception application, but it didn't get noticed in the paper like that.
That's Carl's application.
That's Carl,
Yeah.
so we're gonna have to have our hearing as scheduled and then have the site plan the next meeting. That's just the way it's gonna
It
have
just,
to be.
we didn't schedule it properly.
It was a mistake on my part. I
Okay.
just did it verbally and didn't follow through the right way. Sorry, Carl.
So,
Anyone but you,
I know.
so, we are
Scheduling for 225, 251 Butter Lane for
Site-
April
for
25th,
the site plan?
for the site plan special exception.
Is that on here?
Site
or is that-
plan,
No, that doesn't work.
April, it's a walk-on, April 25th. Okay, motion by Dennis, second by Gloria, and all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you, Anthony.
See you later on.
Thanks,
You're on
Anthony.
tonight.
I'm here tonight.
Yeah.
Teresa, are you going to Charles, is it?
Yes, so, as you may recall, we had a pre-submission conference for the Charos application here in Watermill. It's the diner location. The applicant had requested that I speak, that they get an opportunity to speak to you, even though we adopted a pre-submission conference report on October 12th, because they would like you to waive the spring traffic count or fall traffic count requirements.
We just went through this, This is not something I think we're gonna waive, not in these locations.
Well,
We have, it's critical information. I mean, there's an area where we've had accident counts there, and it's for your benefit as well as the planning boards. So I would certainly not recommend it. Tom, how do you feel? You're a traffic expert.
you know, well, certainly I think that 3 years' worth of accident data is important.
It's
And
already
I think
been
that's
provided.
always part of any traffic count, any,
So what's different
Traffic
here
impact
is
study.
we have a study done. That study was provided to the board, and it includes the multi-year accident data. It indicates that no remedial action's necessary for the site, given the amount of cross-access already built into the development of this area. It indicates that, I know the concern was left-hand turns coming out of it, left-hand turns going into the site. There have been no left-hand turn accidents. The information's clear. These studies are expensive, you know, upwards of $25,000. The cost would be the same to do it over in the spring, so they are burdensome to the applicant.
Tell us when it was done.
This
Give
was
us
done in
some
August.
baseline.
This was done in August.
have we?
For,
For what application? For what?
oh, this is for the Charos, the medical building
It's
behind the diner.
This is the diner, and then they're putting medical offices here in the
Right.
rear of the lot.
So give us a baseline of what was,
And we've
So-
seen this?
Yes, we adopted
You've
a
seen, you
pre-application.
adopted a pre-application report.
Pre-submission conference report.
Mm-hmm.
They initially had looked
Pre-submission
for a 8,000 square foot one-story building and associated parking in addition to the restaurant use. Reconfiguration of the parking. The pre-submission conference report said, okay, maybe look at making the building 2 stories so you have more flexibility in parking. But they also said that we are acknowledging that this is not a summer community anymore and that we need traffic counts either in the fall or in the spring.
so this study
Right.
that was done was
When?
for the building in the front?
No,
It
this was done
included
for this
it
building.
included the medical
When was it
offices.
done?
But
August.
again,
But it's the
we.
timing,
Next year?
right?
Of 23.
Right. It was
yeah.
it was the timing. We felt that, you know, August, people take vacation, right?
Right.
There's no schools, there's no buses, there's, you know,
Hmm.
the traffic
I
is
mean-
considerably less in August than it is in March. It turns, like, daylight savings is the day that the traffic switches.
This is extemporaneous data. This is the report which indicates what the traffic tolls actually are. It says that it's above the average of 20,000 a day.
Yes.
The report you're seeing here is comprehensive enough to cover what pitfalls may come in spring, especially in light of the cross-access being offered, the fact that no recommendations for remediation were put into this, and that no left-hand turn accidents have occurred in multi-year data. It's quite a burden to put on applicants to do this twice a year, both in terms of cost and in terms of delay, because inherently, there's a 6-month delay.
I think,
But,
So
you know.
the question is, can you rely on a report that was done in August?
big
Now-
question. I mean, that's the question, because I think what we're experiencing now is August being sort of an aberration, because there's so much traffic, you really don't get an accurate count. You heard the conversation
I did,
that we
but
had?
this was but an on-site count done by them.
So then we should be looking at a July count, or a spring, or a fall, one or the other. We're not asking for both.
When this subject came up, I did a quick call to Tuckahoe School District, which is the smallest school district we have in Southampton town, right? They have 96 full-time employees, not including their busing, because they contract their busing with Montauk Bus in Hampton Bays, so they go directly from the bus depot in Hampton Bays to the routes. But they have 96 full-time employees that service one elementary school. So to say, well, there's not an increase in traffic in the spring, when there are buses that stop every 10 feet on the highway, and there are school teachers, and there are some administrative support staff, and there's custodial staff and security staff and paraprofessionals, I think it's really disingenuous to say that August is the best, the most highest traffic counts that we're going to experience during the summer, right? That we're going to experience year
But
In
round.
they're
all fairness,
supplanted
we
by
used to
the rest
push
of the
for, we
world.
used to push for the summer. In
I-
all fairness, but you're right, it's spring and fall.
And there are differences a little bit in the season, as you're pointing out, Teresa, and I used to look at this stuff. Once you get into July and August, your 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. traffic declines.
Right.
Yeah.
eastbound, because your teachers and administrators are not coming out.
Right.
Later in the day, it increases, because you've got more of the,
Trade parade.
delivery people, trade
Trade
parade, and you've got, visitors and whatever coming out. So there are some qualitative differences when you look at spring, summer, and fall. And I think we talked about this, in my opinion, probably if we did a good spring count or a good fall count, that gives you kind of the shoulder season. I don't know that we necessarily need to do both anymore or all the time.
Just one or the other, because they're similar, right?
Right, they're
Claire just
similar.
said that.
The other,
But anecdotally, right, last spring, it took me about an hour and 15 minutes to come from my house in Flanders to Town Hall. In the summer, it took me about 40 minutes. Because there are traffic calming issues, there are no schools, there are people taking vacations. So, anecdotally, traffic is.
Well, that's based on the time you travel.
Carl, if you were to
What we
do
just saying
a
is-
fall, say a fall, not spring, because spring is here unless you wanted to do it. I don't know what an estimate of cost would be. I know you don't want to spend any more money, et cetera, but I don't know that just an August study, traffic study, that's now a year old, it's relatively new.
It accounts
is
for,
enough.
what's the percentage increase per year? It does account for
it's the
point,
projected.
it's about a 2%
I
increase
was
per
gonna say
year.
2.25% is
Yeah.
what's always been,
So it accounts for that.
So if it's 20,000 a day, at 2.5% is what, another 4,000 cars?
No, 400.
400,000.
The DOT has a 24/7 traffic counter
Could we
out at
supplement
the
this
Peconic
report?
Bridge,
Maybe
the
you could
overpass.
supplement it.
Would you be okay if we supplement it with existing DOT information?
Right. I think they might have a 24/7 counter in Waterville. I'm not 100% certain of that, but I know they had one at the Peconic Bridge, which gets the Sunrise Highway traffic. Now, you lose some people because they get off at exit 66 or get on at 66, but, whenever I used to do this kind of stuff, I was assuming probably 95% of that, number was people that, getting off or on Sunrise Highway and onto 39 and, then going, east.
Yeah, just that, we undertook this at great expense in August because we thought that's when
Right.
we would show the highest density. And
Yeah.
there's kind of been a shift in understanding in the board.
Well, there's a
But-
shift in traffic, really, and so it really behooves us, we're trying to get a handle on traffic. I mean, every application that comes in, no traffic
There's
impact, no traffic impact.
And none of us can get
And
anywhere
we
anymore.
live here. It's affecting everything. It's affecting employment in municipalities. Towns can't hire people because no one wants to come from the west. I don't have to go through it. You know it. So there is a shift and a flow in traffic patterns right now. And we're seeing it. We're seeing much more traffic in the fall and more in the spring. So our focus that used to be on the summer, well, July is still legit, but August, not. So maybe just a supplemental, maybe some kind of an amendment to this?
Yeah, if you, you obviously have a traffic engineer that did this.
Yeah, we had Nelson and Pope do it.
Nelson and Pope. I would
To
ask
engage them
them,
even supplementally is gonna be
Well,
very
I mean,
expensive.
To be honest with you,
I believe the report
you
said an update.
you can go on the DOT website, although I'm not sure you'll be able to dig
Sure,
deep
I'm
enough
happy
to
to
do
do
it. As I said, the Peconic Bridge overpass has a 24/7 counter. That data is publicly available. You have to dig really deep to find it. But if we could find out, at least if there is a traffic counter in Watermill, as was my understanding, but I could be wrong about that. And I would take, if there was a 24/7 traffic counter in Watermill, I'd take the DOT data from Watermill for, April and, it's an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
You just print the data.
So look at.
But if there isn't, is it really, and I'm saying, do you think that August numbers would be so off as to not fairly indicate general traffic
Yeah, I mean,
patterns?
also
Yeah.
bear in mind, our board has looked upon medical office use as more of a benign use regarding traffic. And you have the addition, you have a rear,
Yeah.
you have access to a signalized intersection. I don't know that, that the traffic is gonna be an overwhelming
I
driving.
can tell you, this report said no remedial action was necessary.
I would imagine it would.
Yeah.
And it also
Especially
includes
for a
the
medical.
flying point data, which I know at the last
Yeah,
hearing you
I
wanted
mean, I
to
just,
include.
I
And-
think Flying Point is gonna become next gridlock.
I mean, the
Because
issue,
we're
you know,
pushing at all those office people.
Which
onto
is
Flying
not right.
Point.
I assume they, and I apologize, I don't remember seeing that, and if it's in my emails, I'm gonna find it or ask to get another
I'll
copy.
make
I'd
sure
like
you
to
get it,
read
yeah.
through it. I'm sure what you're gonna see, I mean, accidents to me are always number one. The other thing that I'm sure this will find is that it's gonna cause more of a delay on the Flying Point Road intersection, you know, coming off of Flying Point. I'm just guessing, but that's probably what's gonna happen there. But I'd like to look at that. If you could maybe ask Nelson and Pope just to check to see if there is a 24/7 counter in Watermill on the DOT website. They can't charge you too much for that. It's not that hard to find if you know what you're doing.
But there are other traffic
I'll look
consultants
for
too,
it.
Carl.
Sorry?
Other traffic.
Could get it in a
But a 24/7 counter in Watermill, it's right down the street.
Sure.
That certainly helps supplement what you found in August. And we could, you can look at, October.
So do you want to keep this conversation open?
Yeah.
I'd like to for 2 weeks or something till you maybe
Okay.
make
Do a
a
little research
couple
on
phone
it.
calls or do a
Happy
little
to.
research and I get a chance to look at that.
Yeah.
Or we all get a
Nelson
chance to
Pope
look
can
at
get
that.
it. If they can't get it, Nelson Pope can get it.
Yeah.
Okay,
So what were some of the other issues that are we looking at?
this is really,
Just the traffic.
that's
Okay.
it.
And
We
maybe
need
you
to
can
get
get a
past
copy
this,
to
so.
Tom, that would be helpful, of that phone book.
Do you want mine?
Yeah, that'd be a
I'll
little
cut
too
it.
big for our email
Tom.
servers to
It'll kill
handle.
my printer to try to print that, but
Happy Easter.
I'll put a bow on it.
there we
Little
go.
Easter
Dip it in
basket.
chocolate.
Little light reading before bed.
I mean, if you, no, I'll take the paper
Only Tom
copy.
can understand it.
Yeah,
I like
no.
reading paper and stuff.
I'm happy to do that. If you want it emailed, I'll email it to you, whatever.
But I think for all your applications, and you have many, I think you need to see that the traffic patterns are shifting and we're looking at counts.
And
not
you'd
only
rather them in the
summer.
fall.
Well, I think certainly a June-July count is important, because that's when it beeps up, and then either the spring or the fall, Claire, you gave those parameters, what was that? Mid-September to October, I think you said,
Don't,
and May to,
don't forget, you have one item that
April.
considerably skews traffic counts in August. That's the Hampton Classic.
Right.
The last 10 days of
And
a
that-
regional festival.
And that was during that period.
Right,
Yeah.
So, I mean, that lends to, this was the high count.
yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I mean, it's a
who gets-
medical office.
Who gets impacted by that is.
exactly. It's a medical.
It's a
But
medical
But Dennis, this whole area
I know,
is a nightmare.
as opposed to the
They-
Rivian
They
site.
can't sell those buildings because of traffic.
You're gonna have more traffic in that Rivian.
Barry's Boot Camp was supposed to have its own driveway in. I don't know if anybody remembers this.
Yeah.
And then that somehow or another got changed. And we wanted a common driveway for Barry's Boot Camp into the back building.
Right.
And that didn't happen. I mean, so that whole, and I remember speaking to the man who owned, he owned Barry's Boot Camp, and then the building on the corner where the Tesla is coming in now, which is a pop-up thing.
Collects.
I mean, Pier 1. I mean, it was impossible to get people to buy these properties because of the traffic.
Right.
So
But
it
you-
really behooves us to really take a hard look. Cross-access has been a blessing, really
We're
helpful,
very fortunate, I mean.
Yeah.
very
It's
helpful.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Can I make a practical point? Knowing we already have cross-access and we have a traffic study in front of us, and I understand Teresa's concern on, when the planners are uncomfortable, I get uncomfortable.
Mhm.
When we get new data in,
Yeah,
how is that going to adjust our mindset on this application? What could we do differently? If we found out it's an extra 60, 70 cars, or whatever the case may be, what are we gonna do with that data? What's actionable?
we might look at, well, there's some recommendation to reduce the size of the building, have less parking, have fewer cars. I mean, all of that feeds into a whole integrated plan.
Change access onto Montauk Highway.
Yeah.
You know, those are possibilities that could be
But
looked at.
if that's best practice with additional traffic, why don't we go for it now?
Well,
you
I
know?
mean, I did recommend that the second, one of these accesses be closed in the pre-app report, and you were considering it, and then you didn't feel it was necessary. And I think it just needs to be acknowledged that there is traffic year-round, and, you know, and again, if it shows a significant increase in the spring or the fall, whether it's appropriate to have an 8,000 square foot medical office, that might need to reduce the scale of the project some, you know? I mean, that all feeds into how we review these projects.
But if you're gonna do that, you do need something to back it up. You can't just.
You can't
Yeah,
just,
so we need data.
We need data.
we have data, that's what we're saying.
Yeah, but we're saying,
You have
we're not
limited
sure
data.
it's everything.
It's incomplete data.
Yeah.
But based on an assumption, it's incomplete data. Let's just be clear, there's
No, it's
nothing.
not an assumption. I mean, we know, people who live here, that the fall and the spring are far worse than August. So,
We've,
and we just went through I mean, we're looking at a traffic study now where the August counts are so skewed because of the traffic monitors. We just had this conversation with the other applicant where, you know, it trips, every car trips the count. Well, if cars are just backed up and you're doing your traffic study for, say, 5 hours on a particular day, you're going to get a very skewed count.
but we've always looked at medical offices as a less intensive traffic generator. In fact, there are many applications where this board has said, oh my gosh, great, getting rid of this site, we're gonna get medical offices, great, wonderful,
Right.
because of the traffic.
But this is a type 1 action. It's a building that's
Yeah.
over 5,000 square feet. So clearly, there's an impact, right? Whether it's more benign than a restaurant or a car dealership, there's an
Rivian-
impact.
No,
And
that
we
doesn't
have to
mean there's an
consider the impact.
It means that you have to undertake secra.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I think we're going around in circles, so I think you've heard us and see.
Okay,
see
so
what
we'll
you can
provide
come
you,
back.
see if we can get you some more information,
We
Tom.
get some data.
And then if you're comfortable with that information, or plus the extra data, we'll
Right.
see how the board feels.
Tom, take a
And
look
if,
at-
you
that's
know, if they
fair.
find that file, they're gonna be able to pull every single month, and they can pull every hour of every single day and every single month. So there is a wealth of data there if they can find it. I know they can find it for the Peconic Bridge, I don't know if it's available in Watermill, but you can look, you know, we can look, you know.
Yeah, I'll reach out to you, maybe you can kind of point me in the right direction, or I'll talk to Nelson.
I mean, if the DOT does have supplemental data for Watermill, I don't see that, you know, is, I think that may be sufficient, you know?
Check the
But we
DOT.
need to have the
Check.
data.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
We
I
have
just
other people.
wanted to make one comment concerning the two driveways. Originally,
Which two?
The two exits.
two driveways into the Lobster Roll
lot?
restaurant.
Right.
I know there was talk of closing one off, but those were specifically done in 1997. There used to be one access in the middle when it was the Holiday Grill in the 70s and 80s,
Yeah.
when we owned it, and it was a disaster. So it was either recommended by the state or recommended by the planning board at the time to create that type of egress in and out.
Circulation.
Circulation.
Well, it's for flow,
Interior
circulation,
circulation.
car backup.
But now we have cross-access and other
Yeah,
issues.
and that's
Which-
25
you
years
know,
ago.
25
Traffic
years
is a
ago
little
is
bit
a
different.
big difference.
But we also have to consider the restaurant, and what works well for the restaurant is, that type of setup. I don't know how
How is
closing
that
off one
going?
of the accesses
Do we
could
know?
be.
Do we know how it's working, the two?
They're hanging in there.
Yeah.
It's a
No,
rough
no.
business.
She's not talking about the restaurant, she's talking about.
Oh, as far as the traffic it's fine. I
Yeah.
mean,
There's a shortage of
there's-
shrimp,
At
but
the end of the
otherwise.
day,
I've never,
At the
I
end
don't
of the
try
day,
to-
DOT is gonna weigh in, right? DOT will weigh in on whether or not a second access, this should be closed off or it should be reconfigured or something of that nature. But I think part of it is we need the data.
So see if you
Right.
can't get it
And-
from what we're recommending.
Just to
We hear you.
put this conversation a little bit in perspective, and we all know about that, tragedy with the bridge in Baltimore, and they said how critical it was carrying 30,000 vehicles a day. County Road 39 carries 40,000 vehicles a day. this part carries somewhere in the range of 20 to 25,000 a day, depending on where you are. So, these two roads
Good point.
are so critical
Yep.
to the east end.
Mm-hmm.
We have to
have
be
to
as careful as we can be.
Right.
So,
And if there's a tragedy, you know what happens, they close the road and
You go nowhere.
you can pitch your tent.
right.
Well, of course,
Okay.
we'll pass
All
my
right,
house.
so, thank you for your cooperation.
Thanks, Carl.
Of course.
Thanks, Carl.
I'm actually gonna be here one more time today on this.
Oh,
One more?
Yeah, on traffic studies. This is a fun day.
I'll get you a two-sided printer, Carl.
oh, ouch.
Brenna? 2254 Tuckahoe Lane.
Yeah, this is, the lot line modification on Tuckahoe Lane. We looked at it at the last.
Sure.
At the last planning board meeting, and it was incomplete. They added some information to the survey. It was just some minor information, but namely the proposed versus the existing lot line. They're transferring 4,200 square feet from the applicant's lot, which is the one outlined in red, to their neighbor to the south. And apparently something was started, I think, in 2003, but that.
It was approved by the board.
Can you just,
Yes, sorry.
identify-
Brittany Prim for the applicant.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
Brittany Prim
Brittany.
for the applicant. This was actually adopted in 2003. I was not the handling attorney on it, however, and the handling attorney, there was conditions that needed to be met in order for it to be approved. Those conditions were nothing was ever done with them. So it was voided, so we're here again trying to reopen this, and
Okay.
the neighbor wanted to widen his driveway, which was the purpose of my client selling him the land. So we're just trying to legalize it and make sure everything is sound. My client wants to sell the property and doesn't want to pass this down to the next owner, so.
Prim, you want to give us a?
Yeah, so it's a half-acre lot. They're looking to transfer the 4,200 square feet, essentially making them equal-sized lots. There are 15 zoning. They will remain, obviously R15. Everything is still within all the dimensional standards. There's no, I don't think, implications. And I think, yeah, really, that's everything. There's not much more to the site itself and the application itself. The line here, it almost appears like something might have been recorded at some point because the proposed line is on our GIS, but
Yes.
we just don't have approval with the planning board.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you find
So-
paperwork on it?
I didn't. I looked. Anything that was available to me through GIS, I couldn't find. Everything deed-wise describes the lot as it is now or used to be according to GIS.
We also tried to contact the county regarding this and there was nothing. So, like I said, it was like this was adopted, the resolution was adopted, and then, like I said, there was certain criteria that needed to be met through the county as well, and it someone just dropped the ball and kind of just let it go.
And the board's considering completeness, so we can have a hearing.
Okay, so it's complete.
It is complete, and the date we're looking at is April 25th.
How many do we have, Krista?
We just have two right
Good. Is that good for you?
That's fine with us, yes.
I'll move it.
Motion by Dennis, second by George, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor, 1 absent.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Charlotte Lee Smith, number 13, 142 South Road, West Hampton.
Yeah, this was this two-lot subdivision in West Hampton. We also looked at, it was incomplete. They had to show water and sanitary on the survey, which they've since included. So the application is complete. We could look at it a little closer. Kevin, I think the applicant might be on the Zoom. That is Jim or James Hume.
What's his name?
Jim Hume. This is, it's 1.1 acre R40. They're looking to divide, there's a little survey in the packet I just handed out, but they're looking to divide it just south of the pool, about 20 feet south of the pool. There's a two-story existing residence now with the, sort of a guest house, single-story guest house in the back, a pool, cabana, and outdoor shower. That's everything that's on there right now.
Prina, could you speak up a little bit? I'm having a real hard time
Yeah,
hearing
sure,
you.
sorry.
Thank you.
They would be undersized lots. We talked about this a little bit last time.
Yeah.
So they have a minimum lot area, potential variance issue there, as well as road frontage. They're gonna subdivide the lot as it is now, including this portion of this unnamed or abandoned road. So the road frontage is pretty limited here, so I think it might be important to understand if they're gonna share a driveway or how that's gonna work out, or what the intent is with the site itself. And potentially setback relief.
What are the other lot sizes in the neighborhood? They kind of look large, just from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, there'd be undersized lots.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
they're all about, there's a lot of them that are an acre, which is
because
the same size as.
when we
the
do
site
undersize, approve sometimes undersize if the neighborhood, the rest of the
Yeah,
neighborhood's
yeah.
like that.
Well, that's a
but that-
ZBA,
Yeah,
yeah,
but we can have an opinion.
yeah, the ZBA, we're not gonna be saying too many positive
The
things
lot,
about it.
the lot right next door and a couple doors down are probably the smaller of the whole neighborhood, and they're a 1.5 acre, but most of them are an acre.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Jim, are you here to represent this?
I am, for the applicant, James Angill, 33 Mill Road. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hey, Jim. Have
So we are-
have you seen the
in fact,
report?
seeking
Does he
to-
see the report? Jim?
Oh, it's
The
just,
report?
there's no report.
No, there's not,
We're just deeming
reviewing it for
complete.
completeness to set the hearing.
For
Yeah, I think
completeness.
it's on today, they deem it complete.
Right.
But we're certainly amenable to the reasonable suggestions of the board as to how to access. And I don't think the lots that we're proposing are out of scale with the neighborhood. I think I've been involved in a couple of projects in the vicinity that we did similar things. This only works because there are two residences on this property. And that's what, we're just looking to separate the two residences from each other.
Okay, so what date are you looking for public
April
hearing?
25th.
April 25th?
That's the fourth one.
That's fourth one.
That is the fourth one?
Yes.
We okay with that?
Probably not gonna
Okay.
be-
April 25th, Jim,
Probably not gonna
public
be-
hearing.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion?
Maybe,
Motion by Jim.
Motion by Tom,
I'll second.
second by George, all in favor?
Aye.
All in favor, we said that?
That's
Yes.
a-
6 in favor, 1
Radical
absent.
subdivision.
If every parcel in
Thank
town
you,
did
Brenna.
that, double the population of the town. At least there's no pine barrens
Teresa,
planted or.
you are 103 County Road 39 for completeness, number 14.
Yes, so we had a pre-submission conference for this application, which is immediately adjacent to the Burger King parcel on County Road 39 in the fall. We adopted a pre-submission conference report that had recommended that the proposed 15,000 square foot medical office building be reconfigured so that the parking is in the rear. And while the applicant has submitted site plan documents for formal site plan application approval that has all the technical elements required by the town, it doesn't address the planning board's recommendations to put the building in the front. It still shows the plan in nearly exact configuration as it was in the pre-submission conference, which is inconsistent with the 2015 County Road 39 corridor study, which was adopted as part of the comprehensive plan. So I am recommending it be deemed incomplete so that it's revised, so it's consistent with the pre-submission conference report and the County Road 39 plan. Also, the applicant resubmitted the traffic study that was provided with the pre-submission conference report application, which did not, which we asked for spring or fall counts. And then, looking further into the traffic study, just to review it again, I realized that they didn't actually include the traffic counts associated with the Liberty Gardens change of zone application, which is directly across the street. So that does need to include that information as well. So again, while they did provide all the technical elements, they did not address the pre-submission conference report requirements.
Can I just ask you about Liberty Gardens?
Yes,
What's the status of that? Is that the affordable?
There's no decision yet.
there is no decision yet. It's the, FEIS was submitted, but no decision has been made.
It was
They're waiting
accepted
for
by
the
the town
finding
board too.
statement.
It was
And the
accepted by the
decision.
town board, yes.
The prior town board,
The
yeah.
prior town board.
Just for clarification, as part of the FEIS, they did reduce the Liberty Garden from 60 units to 50, but again, it's 50 units.
And we still don't know what's gonna happen with the rest of the church property.
Correct.
Correct.
Right, well, we did a fairly complete, it was complete referral on that
Yes, it was a very
application.
extensive
Yeah.
pre-submission conference report.
So Carl Benincasa, you're back
Back
again.
You just keep popping
Why
up.
don't you just
I
stay?
swear I'd leave after this, yeah, I should. I used to sit all day
You
here.
looking-
Yeah, I know.
Are you looking for relief of the traffic data again?
That's part of it,
He's
yeah.
gonna be the traffic consultant. But Carl.
Tom, have you read this one?
It's not as thick as this one we got.
What we just said, we're saying again.
So, understood. So, we'll try to get supplemental information on, this was done in August again, which was generally considered the busiest time. We'll try to get supplemental information. I don't know how we're gonna get traffic impact study on something that hasn't been approved yet, but we will try to get shoulder season data like we did suggested for the other one.
Great.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander. So that, and then they were recommendations about placement. They weren't requirements. You know, whether or not the board prefers the location of this building and the size of this building, it does conform to zoning, and that's not a reason to deem it incomplete. When we had that pre-submission report, we discussed that and we limited it to recommendations because you understood that it was your preference, not a requirement. I
Well-
can't force my applicant's hands. This is what the applicant wanted, but you cannot deem something incomplete because it's not exactly what you wanted, though it meets the code.
It's deemed incomplete because of the traffic though, so.
That's different. The presentation was that it was deemed incomplete for both. So if we can say that that is not a reason to deem it incomplete, we will modify the
Well,
traffic.
but Teresa is referencing the County Road 39 study, which very
Right.
clearly states parking for new construction is to be in the rear of the building. And that was pretty clear, right?
That's
I don't know what
correct.
the exact language is, but
Yes, and again,
Tom
this
and
is
I
an
both on
element
that
of the
committee.
comprehensive
Yeah.
plan. So if the project is inconsistent with the comprehensive plan, you know,
Is it a
But
type
it-
one action?
it
it is a
wasn't-
type 1 action.
It wasn't codified, though.
How do we deem it
I
complete
think
until
Claire
we've
would
done
like to say
secret?
something.
No, she's saying the right thing.
Yeah.
It's, you're gonna do secra next, when you, this, you
Well, we
have
can't
all
deem
the
it complete.
information.
We can't deem it complete until we do secret.
Right, but they need this information, traffic being one aspect of it, but the compliance, if he chooses not to, you do that, when you do secra and you say, are you in compliance with the master plan, it's gonna be, there's an
No.
impact
Oh,
there.
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So I mean,
Automatic
you know,
trigger impact statement.
yet again, it has all the technical elements with respect to the actual site plan application, site plans themselves. But Carl, I don't want you to go down the road and then it not be viewed favorably because it's inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. I'm not, you know, that's, trying to save you some heartache here.
Is this on for completeness of?
Yes,
recess?
yes.
But we can't deem complete until we've done secret, correct?
Right, you would not be deeming this complete today, because
No.
even
Okay.
if you thought you had everything with the traffic and stuff, you would
Then
coordinate secret, because it's a type 1 action.
Yeah.
That would be the next step, we would get the county to weigh in, on it, so that, in the very least.
So let's start secret though, right? Is that where we were at?
No, I would
No.
not do that
No.
without the traffic
Yeah.
information, because you're gonna be sending that traffic information also to the county.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we're not So just, we're not doing completeness, we're
No,
starting.
we're deeming it incomplete.
Incomplete.
Yes, correct.
So Carl,
Okay.
your
But
applic-
not, but it's because of secra and traffic, right?
Right.
Secret.
No,
On the
no,
technical
it's-
issue of incompleteness, I would agree.
Thank you.
Where are
That
we in
doesn't
the
mean that
secret
your
process?
consistency is not gonna be an issue at some point.
It could be, but on the technical issue of completeness.
So-
Where are we in secret on this? Have we coordinated yet?
No, we
No,
haven't.
because it's incomplete.
It's incomplete. We have to deem it complete and get the traffic information first, then
We have
coordinate
Wait, wait,
traffic.
You have to submit the traffic
David,
information.
We
at
need secret to
minimum.
be complete, right?
Right.
No, we're deeming it incomplete. Once we get the traffic information and potentially a revised site plan,
We'll
depending
deem it
on whether we
complete.
get it or not, then we will coordinate secret, and then we can
We
proceed.
go from there.
Yeah,
Why don't we do, can we do secret now?
we need the traffic information.
I would refer the traffic
Yeah.
Okay.
report to the
Yeah.
county when you
Yeah.
do the coordination with them.
Oh,
I
okay.
would definitely.
What if is that sufficient? Do you still need the extra traffic information if you're just submitting that to the county for review, for their review?
Well, would you be hiring
Maybe.
an outside
I would
consultant?
anticipate we would need to hire a traffic consultant.
So then why do we have to do it when you're gonna have a consultant do it?
No, because
No,
you're
we
gonna
review.
You're gonna
submit
have your own
numbers to
person,
us, and
and-
our consultant looks at those numbers
Yeah,
and says,
but I'm saying,
yea or nay.
but until we say that, why are we saying the numbers are insufficient when you haven't had that reviewed yet? That's all I'm saying.
Because you just heard all these other cases that came and they need the full numbers, and you've already said that they don't include that, they're looking at August, and you know that the board is looking for the shoulder season to be incorporated,
So
right?
we're anticipating that your expert is going to say that.
No.
No,
we're
they
saying-
just
we're
said it.
saying
I know, but, okay. All right, Christine.
I might suggest though, there is a traffic study for Liberty Gardens.
Yeah, we've already foiled for everything in the area, so hopefully.
Yeah, so
that'll
maybe
come
they
back.
have 2022 counts that you could
Yeah.
extrapolate. I'm just saying, could happen.
Yeah, no, we submitted a foil with that exact idea.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you, Claire.
Don't
You're
get the
welcome.
cemetery.
What?
Don't get the cemetery, I said.
Don't get it?
Don't get their traffic report.
Oh.
Trying to make you laugh, Carl, after you've had a hard day.
Only on
It's been a long
Sundays.
day.
People only go there on
But
Sundays.
as concerning the design, I mean, your applicant is dead set on having this, because it goes counter to the 2015. I know you had an old application on this.
That's what we were using the 2000, I think it was 2000 application.
Yeah, but that's 24 years old.
We understand. I
You know?
understand your points.
Yeah.
I will
Okay.
continue to reiterate them.
You know,
Good.
you can get tripped up later on this, why not address it now?
Yeah.
The bottom line is the traffic's gonna go in the back, whether it's gonna happen after full-blown EIS, environmental impact statement.
You mean the parking? will be
The park, I'm sorry, the parking is gonna go in the back, so,
Mhm.
you know,
So, why make yourself crazy?
Yeah.
I'll put yourself through that.
Put yourself through it. All right. So, motion to deem this incomplete by Gloria and second by Craig. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor, 1 absent.
Carl, don't hit any traffic going home.
Go very slow, Carl. And do not use your phone.
It's not May, there's no traffic.
Oh, man. Can I
Thanks,
take,
Carl.
Claire?
out of order, because I have an applicant, for 16, and then we'll go back to 15, is that okay?
For 16.
Yeah, for the
15
extension.
was done.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, my numbers are off.
15 we did, 16 is,
Are you talking 8
Mid-Hampton.
Mid-Hampton?
Yeah, can we
Yeah,
just table
sure.
that for a second, and I'll do,
Oh, we're ta-
Perone.
17.
Okay.
Yes, 17, thank you.
Right, Perone, Stephen Perone. Right.
Yes, so Bob Smith is here for this. We're doing an extension. Let me show you the plan. It's a 3-lot subdivision. It got a pre-submission report in 2022, and he's stuck with the health department still on this one. And he's
So
asking for an extension,
extension.
yeah,
Where
for
is the
another
one on the
year.
corner?
This one's in Shinnecock Hills. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I've got 4 copies if you don't want.
Right on the corner of,
Yeah.
Canoe Fish,
Oh,
right?
that's
Yeah.
the, yep.
Do a 3-lot.
Bob Smith for Squires and Holden for Dr. Perone. This application was done back in the 80s and approved by the health department. And the owner sold the property, never finished it. So the new owner sat on it for a number of years and then finally decided he wanted to go back. we resubmitted the application here, basically the same application that was approved in, I think it was 86, 88, and then went to the health department. Well, dealing with the health department is kind of like trying to eat Jell-O with chopsticks. You just, there's no control over there, there's nobody in charge, and you get a report back from an assistant trainee who knows that on page 1 it says red is blue. And so you correct everything to make it red is blue, then she gets it and turns the page and notes the change, orange and blue make red, back the way you were. And that's where we are. We've been going around with the health department now for well over a year. Over a year. And then they came through, the last thing was, oh, you have to fix the system on the original house. So you have to give us a new application as a residential application to fix that system before we'll go back to the subdivision plan. I mean, there's no control over it, they're just running around in circles.
Is that the,
That's the aerial, yes.
Yeah, that's the
yes.
aerial.
So they're designing it to keep the house and the other 2 lots would
The
be,
2 lots would be up to the north.
yeah, adjacent
Right.
to the railroad.
okay, so you're
So
looking
we're
for an
just basically
extension
asking
for
for,
a
You
year?
see that?
yeah.
1-year extension?
Yeah, subject to the requisite fee, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks for
Thank
turning
you.
in.
And
Motion?
I'd like to make one comment. I've been sitting here for a while, and I used to be here all the time. We haven't been here a lot lately. There's a lot
Don't you
of.
miss
Bob,
us?
it's good to see you. I
Well,
haven't,
yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
recognize
yeah.
you until later
Well, there's
on.
a lot of new young surveyors who come out here and do a lot of work, and that's why we don't do it. Eventually, we wind up doing the work over,
From the old stuff.
and that's where you see us. So, I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
Claire.
seeing
You're
you.
welcome, no problem.
Motion for a 1-year extension by George,
Second.
second by Dennis, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor, 1 absent.
I don't know where you got it.
Claire, you want to do the
Yeah.
number 16, 8 Midhampton,
Yeah, so
Village
this
of Quogue?
is I'm gonna give you a draft resolution, see if you like it. So this is an application in the village of Quogue, but it's on the border of East Quogue. So there was a referral required by the village of Quogue to the town of Southampton on this
Ask
one.
us for our 2 cents.
Yes. So, I think they've done a good job, especially with regard to, establishing a significant buffer to the east. So there's existing buildings on the property here. This is the aerial here, and I have one copy of the aerial if it helps.
Are these the 3 Gigando buildings, 10,000 square feet each?
They're going to propose, light industrial buildings. It's in a light industrial zone, according to the village. Yeah, but that's the one. It's that's, if you wanna see it closer. So there's existing buildings on the site, but they're gonna demolish those buildings, and they're consolidating the buildings to the western portion of the property, away from the residential uses, and away from our border of East Quogue. So that buffer on the west that they're gonna revegetate is at least 100 feet, which is pretty significant. In their code, it's even 50, so I think it's a good proposal for the property. So I wrote a resolution just supporting it because of the buffers, but I'm not quite sure if you had any other questions.
What's the
or-
size, Claire, of the parcel?
The size of the
It
parcel.
doesn't say.
Let's see.
On the something, we should fill that in.
Okay. It's 19.1 acres.
So lot coverage, I'm assuming, even with these large buildings, is okay? Do we know?
I didn't look at them, but I could look at their code if you'd like.
They are huge.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked to see that there would be that much in Quogue. I didn't realize there was.
60,000 square feet, 82,000 square feet.
This
These
is
are
their
big.
industrial area, you know, if you zoom
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
This,
Yep.
Midhampton is their industrial park.
Yep.
You know, for the village of Quogue.
Yeah, I know it well.
You know what?
I think you had shared, I think, the secra that they had sent or created. You know, my comments were that said no impact on traffic. Now, I counted, I believe, or it said it on the survey, it says it here somewhere, there's 255 parking spaces.
Whoa.
And no
Yeah.
impact on traffic. I question that. So I think, whatever the process is, I think they need to go back and revisit that.
Yeah, I think we do have planning concerns, Claire, that being one of them.
Tried to get across 104 lately.
Yeah.
Also complicated by many more
Could you
events
know
at
the
the
area
Quogue
better?
Wildlife Refuge.
Yeah.
It's all our
Now,
cars.
just down the road from
Just
this.
getting over
Very
104
morning
to get it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a rush hour like here.
That's-
Yeah.
Well,
that's-
right,
Cars
people
with
come
up
there
and
and
down
do realize
104.
it's not a four-way street.
Crossing the road would be a problem.
I had somebody waving me through, expecting that I got there first, and, I'm like, I'm not going first.
Either a light or something is gonna be needed there soon.
At the Old Country Road intersection? This
Yeah,
one?
At 104.
Maybe,
We're never gonna light over there.
maybe we should make a recommendation, we should think about a signal.
Signal, yeah, but that's state. Oh, that's county.
It's county.
But it would,
Well,
it
can we
would
just-
certainly
We can recommend.
begin, it would certainly slow down the Quogue. Like, welcome to Quogue, and now you're not on Sunrise Highway anymore.
It's posted at 25 miles per hour, so
Yeah.
the cops can be active.
And you're gonna save yourself a traffic ticket with the police car sitting on an Indian bike or something, like,
Yep.
know that area well.
So what would you like me to say? So, I can say planning has concerns about the impact on traffic and on the adjacent, intersections.
Yeah.
Possibly
Roadway and
looking
intersection.
into the,
Yeah, the village, maybe they can get a light in,
Into,
there's more
You
poles.
might want to reference how many parking spaces there are. What'd you say, Tom, 225?
255, I think it says it on the plan.
250.
A lot of vehicles.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't it,
And following up on your thought, Claire, is, if there's concern, they may want to look whether appropriate traffic control is necessary at the intersections, at the adjacent intersections. Maybe.
traffic control.
That's stop signs, traffic signals, all
i.e.
falls under that
stop
umbrella.
signs, Signals, okay.
Right. At least they could look at it.
Hey, at least we're putting them on notice.
So that, I wanted to ask you about the process, because I've never been involved
I've never
in
done this.
send this to a village. So we're just,
I think the referrals go into a no man's land usually,
Oh,
but
it
this
doesn't
time
have-
Janice
yeah,
gave it to me and I was like,
I just take a picture and just blow it up.
it's a site plan.
so we
I think
send
the
it
planning board
to
will have comments.
their village planning board, and they take a look at our
it's like us
comments.
sending things to Suffolk County Planning Commission, right? A lot of times it comes
they
back
have
with
to
no
coordinate
comment,
with us?
local
Right.
determination.
They have to coordinate, don't they, with us?
They have to
If
do
you
the
do secret.
referral because of the being within 500 feet.
But don't they have to
But
coordinate
isn't it because
also?
if it's a change of zone or something for them?
Is it a change
If it was with it as of right, they wouldn't be notifying us with it.
They would be.
Or would this be,
Or
They
as
would
of
be
right?
notifying the town board, and that's not usual, but this
For
time.
as of right?
Yeah.
or would this be a type 1 action?
Yes.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
no.
Not by their
No,
code?
no.
Not for the
I don't
village?
know what their code says.
Right, not for the
It's
village, maybe
secret.
not.
It's not on the state list, type 1? 250 parking spaces?
I think it's 2,500.
Oh,
So you
that's
may
like
wanna, you may wanna also include, approximately a mile and a half to the west, there's an approved, workforce housing facility of 80+ units. So the cumulative effect on that road might be rather substantial.
Has it been approved, is it?
Yeah, they approved that, right?
That one
I
I think has
believe
been
it was, I
approved.
think it was, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. How about if I bring this back?
There's no deadline for the comments or
As
anything?
far as I know, no.
Okay.
If there are deadline, I'm going to send a letter that says the planning board has concerns and will forward a comments.
Good idea.
But if so, and if I need to have this rushed back, I'll have Anthony handle it at the next meeting and do a draft based on your comments that you just had.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
We'll leave it like that. You're good with that?
Yeah,
So no action.
no action.
Yeah.
And then I just had plans that were signed, for the T-Mobile.
Yep.
I don't know what number that was.
I signed everything that was on the table.
Yeah, I saw it. Thank you.
Put Coral Partners, Preniza.
Oh, Prentice.
And
Oh,
what
you wanna
about,
finish, Claire, right?
Anthony's, 23 Crowley?
Eastport Bible Church is off, number 20.
What about 23?
23 Crowley, yeah.
That's
That's a
That's Anthony.
signature.
That's a signature.
Signature.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Can you sign them?
I signed everything that was on the table.
So let's review the signatures, Claire, while you're here.
It was 200 North Main, McGee, excuse me, Crowley, and T-Mobile.
Okay.
Okay, so we're acknowledging number 23 Crowley and number 24 T-Mobile. So there's just those two, right?
And the
Yeah.
add-on of 200 North McGee.
Right, right.
Okay. And 200 North McGee.
Mhm.
So acknowledging those signatures.
Yep.
And now we're going back to
Coral.
Coral Partners.
Brenna.
This is a site plan reapproval
Thank you.
for Coral Partners at 40 Station Road in Watermill.
Oh,
They've,
That's those offices.
behind the condo.
yeah,
Behind the-
next to that other new
Yeah.
complex with all the other
Condos, yep.
offices there.
But it's that vacant lot, right?
The vacant
Yeah.
lot in red, yep. It's right
Just
here.
before you make the turn.
Yeah.
What are they putting in?
Yeah.
The original application was approved in May of 2018, and they've gotten 2 administrative approvals or extensions, and now they're asking for a 2-year, the official 2-year extension to 2026. I guess to keep it fresh, I thought that maybe someone would be here, but they're not here to talk about it, but they.
So two-year extension from
2-year
today?
extension, they're, you know, the lot's been sold in 2021, I believe. But they're proposing no change. They just wanna keep it fresh. So now we take them to 2026.
We take them to 2020.
26.
March 28th, 2026, yeah.
Wow.
March 28th, 2026. Okay, motion for the extension? Motion by Gloria, second by Craig, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor, 2 absent. And then, Prentice, 495, County Road 39, Secra.
Yes, this is for coordinating SECRA. The application was received in January, and in February, we sort of deemed it incomplete because we needed some other materials that weren't quite addressed since the pre-submission report from 2023. Since then, the applicants resubmitted, and they have everything now, so we're recommending.
It's that corner parcel.
It's the corner parcel Serve Pro. It's a
Right.
little
Okay,
acre lot,
yes.
highway business. They're proposing demoing all of the existing structures and.
Demoing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a new.
Oh, yes, they had a,
But not the main building, just as, just.
No, all of it, yeah.
All of it,
of
yeah.
it.
Oh, all of it.
And there's elevations in there, I have a large set as
Elevations
well.
are in
Oh, that's
Um,
right. Yeah.
There's it's an 8,120 square foot commercial building, office and warehouse.
yeah.
Yeah.
These are the elevations. Since the pre-submission, the one thing they did add,
It's in
which
the
the board
package.
recommended,
Yeah.
it is in the
Doesn't tell
package,
me.
yeah, it's a little
It's a
small.
Morton?
Is it metal?
It
or-
is, yeah.
It's a very nice, they did a very nice job with it.
Yeah, it's awesome. And they added they did the porch, they added, since you've last seen it, they've added these clear story windows at the east and west end of the warehouse portion of the building.
That's good.
And, we'll send this to ARB, we'll look at it a little more once we, do SECRA
So
and
is this
deem
the
it
front
complete.
facing County Road 39?
I
That-
believe
it
so.
is, yes.
This
Yeah.
portion?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
sort of the corner, the view
Right.
from the
And then
corner.
that is going
Yeah.
down
Here's-
McGee Street.
McGee.
Jackie.
Still think you need to do a bit of work on the west elevation.
More work on the west elevation, okay.
'Cause that's the
I'm
one
sorry?
that presents toward McGee.
Oh, yeah, this is, so
The
this
three,
one.
I mean, the windows are a step in the right direction.
Here?
Yeah, that's the one that presents toward McGee.
This
Yeah,
one
and
here,
there's, there's trees, existing trees.
Definitely maybe something to break it up.
Yeah.
And then maybe go to the ARB. In the meantime, we could go, come on up. In the meantime, maybe you could go to the ARB about like maybe having something here, because this is gonna present.
Can we have your name for the
Yeah.
record, please?
Bill Kelly, for the applicant. If you look at the landscape plan,
I have that.
yeah, you can't see that elevation from the road.
There's, you have small plans too in there.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you can just hold that up.
Read it.
Yeah, so McGee Street. This is McGee Street.
Right.
So the plantings that we can leave there, we're gonna leave on McGee Street. The sanitary system's going in here, so we're just removing what needs to be removed for the sanitary system. So, we need the site plan, sanitary plan to show where that is, but that sanitary system's going right here.
I have it here.
I'm sorry, the sanitary system, here, it's shown on here, on the landscape plan, so there's the sanitary system. But all these trees that can remain will remain, so it's buffered from the standpoint, you don't really have a view of that wall from County Road 39. You don't really have a view from that wall going down McGee Street.
Just looking to see what the plantings are.
Yeah, I drive that often, and I can, if I really look hard, I can see the cars.
If you really look hard.
Yeah.
But
So
at
it's pretty-
30 miles an hour, you shouldn't be looking that hard.
Keep your eyes on the road.
Well, you should be stopped right there.
Well,
at the
that's
light.
Well, no, I'm actually going north.
Yeah,
So,
I'm just. You're not on your cell
So
phone,
that
right?
building is behind,
no.
is behind that
That
row
roof
of
yeah,
plantings.
that-
Oh, there we
yeah,
go.
yeah,
Here, on the
yeah.
west
The
side.
front part of the building is exposed, but the warehouse portion of the building would be behind. This being the warehouse built part of it, and then
That's
the
the
front
warehouse
part.
is this part.
That's that part, yeah, that's correct. And then they had us run this, I think we ran the stone down the side on that as well, yeah. So we ran the stone wainscot.
Stone apron,
Yeah,
do that.
yeah, so we were asked to
But
do
I-
that.
He's running it on, he said he's gonna have stone here.
And he has, you can see a little bit
Okay.
here.
Yeah, it's all kind of the same color, you know.
So what's the, we're coming into this property, the existing driveway?
There's actually two accesses from the you're coming in from the existing curb cut off
Oh,
Where
County
the
Road,
car is.
County Road 39.
But there's also a
And
McGee
then,
Street.
and then off of McGee
yeah.
Street, there's also.
entrance or exit?
The one off of McGee Street would be more of an egress, so it'd be more of an exit. Because,
Well, then you get to the light if you're going east or
that's right,
west on
then you
39.
get to the light and you can go left or right.
Yeah.
Where the one coming off of McGee Street would really be for anything that's west, the one coming off of County Road 39
Would be westbound.
would really be anything westbound, yeah. it wouldn't necessarily-
Incoming traffic and
Right.
westbound.
Does it include that other part, that other building there? Is that all one parcel?
No.
That's a separate
Oh, the
parcel.
stuff in
That's
the back?
a separate
back
parcel.
corner?
Yeah.
No, I think you're talking about
No,
this.
There's one
the
curb cut.
property to the east is
I
a
think you're
separate
talking
parcel.
about
You
this.
see auto upholstery.
Yeah, the
This
upholstery,
here, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't
And then
include that right now.
It does not.
No,
I see the
think
lot
it's
line
like some
now.
sort of car
Correct.
club now.
And I think this was like informal cross-access that we
Mhm.
talked about,
Yeah.
and I think it was gonna get formalized somehow.
Yeah,
Or-
it would have to.
I made
it's-
the owner
it's
aware of the fact, and
They put a lot of
I
thought into it.
talked to the owner's attorney
Right.
that did the
Right.
closing. Because what we were looking for was, number one, if there was any cross-access, or if there was any deeded right-of-way
Right.
for what used to be the upholstery shop. So, the answer to that question is there.
But I think we had talked about making sure that was,
So we
Yeah,
need, we need
But as far as having
cross-access.
cross-access,
Agreements or-
I let, I said, yeah, that's probably gonna be a requirement, that's pretty
Right.
typical
Yeah.
on
Right.
anything now.
yeah.
So those trailers back there, that little bit, is that
Is that
all
still
coming
there?
out?
And you
I
can see
don't
the
think-
lot line.
Yeah, I don't think the trailers are still there. That is from prior to, that seems to be prior to new ownership.
This is from 2021.
Yeah, they purchased the property in 2022.
So that's all gone, that
It's all
back
gone.
corner?
We're going with a clean slate. Yeah,
And you-
fencing, everything's gone. We're starting from scratch.
And you're gonna have some plantings, what's the setback back there?
There's a
Back here?
There's a buffer, there would be, normally there would be a buffer, but since it's a pre-existing condition,
It's long.
yeah, that'll be.
How many feet is that again? Is that, 20 feet, I think?
Well, that applies.
Yeah, that's 20 feet.
The school property, doesn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the school property just to
Yeah.
the north.
Yeah.
And it's, some of that is wooded, and then there's a playground.
Yeah,
A
that's,
little.
it's heavy woods and then the playground in the school itself.
So you'd have a 20-foot setback.
We have a
That's
20-foot, we have a
planted.
20-foot vegetated buffer.
Okay, and then your driveway out, what's the width on that?
It's 20 feet,
20.
that's what's required.
And you have enough parking here?
We do.
Yeah, they, that was one of the items they had to address since the pre-submission. There's 22 spaces, which in fact is, I think, one greater than what you need. 2 accessible spaces, and that's calculating for special exception use for every 500 square feet plus 6 employees.
Yeah.
So that'll bring them up to 22.
And what about some climate action plan, sustainable
The solar?
solar?
Well, you know, it's not in the current plan. It's not in the current plan.
Is there
You get
some
good sun.
possibility for it?
Well, it all depends, you know, we have the sloping, you know, you need south sun and you need south roof. We do have some south roof, but, you know, here's the thing with solar. That's pretty much an owner condition, I think. 2 reasons. The architectural aspect of it, you know, it's kind of unsightly. And would be on the side of the roof that faces County Road 39. And then the other part of that is, you know, there's a lot of, everybody's on it, but there's a lot of selling points to it. But it's kind of a selling point that comes from the people that are providing it that isn't necessarily advantageous to the owner. And then the other part of that is.
I'm an owner of solar.
Yeah.
I'm gonna disagree with you.
But it's tax credits, you know, they sell a lot of it on
I
the
haven't,
fact.
I've paid $30
Understood.
in a year for my
Understood.
electricity.
Understood.
It's gonna be code soon.
Okay, but it's not now.
It's not now,
Yeah.
let's get it into the code.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
maybe
then the other
once-
part, you know, of course, the other part of solar is it only works when the sun's out, so until they.
No, it doesn't.
And now they have the battery.
I-
Cloudy day in
I was-
February, my
I was
solar is.
actually getting solar today in the rain.
Yeah.
Solar?
Yeah.
Or
I'm on my
maybe
house.
once we officially, after secret deem it complete, we can put it in as a consideration. right?
What
Yeah.
kind of a
To-
roof are you
for the
planning
owner
to put on?
consider.
It's,
Standing seam.
it's a standing seam,
Yeah.
A metal roof.
yeah,
Metal.
charcoal in color.
I think that's,
We were at solar, where
Your
it used to be
ideal.
with the IA system. Oh, please, consider an IA system.
yeah, but
Now
I,
it's code.
but I know
Again,
there's
it's
always.
not concerned, right now, it's not code, so.
Yeah,
It's
it's not.
not code, it's.
We
Well,
can
we're-
only strongly
No,
recommend.
We're asking applicants.
Understood.
To
I
consider.
leave that to
Consider.
I leave that to the owner, okay?
Yeah.
Because that's an owner decision to make.
Until it's code. and
Until
then-
it's code.
And then we impose it.
Yeah,
That's-
and we've,
that's right.
we've already recommended to change
Understood.
the code,
Understood,
so.
yeah. But current code
Yeah.
is not code.
So if you were amenable to it, where would you put it? On which
Well, if you
portion
talk
of the
to anybody
building?
that's selling you solar, they're gonna tell you they want it on a south-facing roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the only place I would be able to put it that's a south-facing roof
Is the warehouse,
is on the
right?
warehouse, but I wouldn't put it there, I'd put it on the other side. There's another elevation where the warehouse extends beyond. Uh, Here's the main building, and that
That's the
particular.
front part,
You're
right.
looking at this section of the roof.
You talking about here?
Yeah.
Point it.
No, right here. So this is where I would put it.
The section that comes out beyond the
Yeah.
porch.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
And
that we're
that's
not seeing in this
porch.
photo.
We're not seeing that.
Yeah, you're not seeing it in that element. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would be 36 feet.
Mm-hmm. That could be nice.
Is there, so there's a standalone sign here. Are they
That's an
propo-
existing standalone
Right,
sign,
are they,
yeah.
are you proposing anything on the building?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Yeah. If we were, but at this time we're not. But if we were, it would probably go in this space right here. Between
Well,
the two, between the windows.
Yeah. We're looking at this, I think, once we get into past secra, we'll look at this a little more. You'll probably wanna look at the landscaping and sort of dissect
Oh, yeah.
everything.
Is this type 2 or
This is unlisted.
unlisted?
So if we get secra going, and then we can deem it complete, and then we can start really digging into the site a little bit more and going to ARB and all that stuff. But I think you're gonna wanna look at the plantings and all of that. These were, everything essentially from the, pre-submission report was addressed, the landscape plan, which was included, the lighting plan, parking, the archaeology report.
So it's all complete, it would.
Yeah, it's ready to go. It's
We've-
meeting all the
we've
submission
checked
requirements,
all
so
the
we can go
boxes.
ahead and now coordinate.
On the unlisted, do we do long form or short?
Yeah,
Long
long,
form.
and we have a long form, they've
Okay.
submitted that.
So one of the items will be energy, impact on energy.
Yeah, I still have yet to.
What do you have
fully
easements
dive in.
here, north property line, east neighbor, cross access? What is it?
Yeah, I just put it in there so we can make sure that the applicant and the owner look into any easements that may already exist, especially here where the cross access is. This is shared and it's sort of become like
Yes,
this
I like it.
informal thing,
Yeah.
In the
where
front of that building?
Well, yeah, it's like
Yeah,
a,
the
it's like
art
a
club.
combined access into both properties, right?
the
Almost.
driveway just sort of
It's just-
straddles the property line and
Mm.
they sort of both use it for turning in and out.
Way back when, both properties were owned by the same person. When
Yeah.
we did the subdivision, both properties were owned by the same person.
Yeah.
So what are we doing here today?
We're,
Coordinating?
Coordinating
secret,
secret.
okay.
Yeah.
Any other,
So coordinating is optional.
I'm sorry?
I thought it's optional on unlisted. Coordination is optional
I don't know about that.
on unlisted?
It's unlisted, yeah.
yeah,
I think-
doesn't
I thought
necessarily
coordination
Oh,
was
require
optional.
coordination is optional? Well, I think we wanna, you know, it's the curb cut on the county road, and
Oh,
we definitely
okay.
wanna send it to, the county, DPW and, Department of Health. So we wanna send it
I
to
need,
them.
the letter for the Department of Health to get, we worked through everything on the Department of Health.
Yeah.
I just need the letter of non-jurisdiction for the negative deck that I can submit to that in order to get final health department approval.
I reviewed it with Claire, we definitely wanna coordinate and,
Okay.
So we need those
Refer
coordinations
those
before
out.
we deem anything
exactly,
neg deck or
yeah.
anything. Anything else you're missing here?
No, there were some minor items that can become part of,
Lighting?
maybe
Yeah.
conditions. The lighting is in here.
Yeah. There's a lighting
I
plan.
think there's, maybe time of use might not have
And
been called out.
Where
but-
where's the lighting?
All the lighting is on the building.
Yeah, do I have it? I don't think I have it in there.
It's, the photometric plan is with the, landscape. But all the lighting is on the building, so,
There's,
underneath the porch, we have down lighting. Over here, I think we have,
oh, I can pull it up on the computer.
there you go,
Yeah.
there you
There are sconces that are completely shrouded, downlit,
Downlit.
and then there's an art light, on the, sign? Or like an art style light?
go. The only lighting on the sign is the current lighting that's on the sign. Couldn't tell you.
I can pull that from the old set, that really didn't change the lighting plan, right?
Yeah, you can just for
For the sake
this
of
purposes,
conversation.
yeah, we didn't change the lighting plan. We changed the size of the building, we reduced it.
Landscape. Is that this one? Yeah.
Yeah. bunch of ones and twos.
That's the photometrics
Oh,
you're talking
okay.
about, right?
So the
So this is the,
You have no lighting poles around the property?
No,
Everything's on the building?
everything's on the bill.
these, it's these dark squares that are the sconces, right, Bill?
Yeah, it's correct.
And there's downlighting underneath the porch?
Underneath the porch, there's,
That's not reflected here, but maybe that's on the architectural.
I think it was,
You can see the cut over here.
yeah.
On the right is the. is
The-
the
yeah, that's the
over
cut sheet.
of the
That's
fixture.
for the lighting that's on the building.
This was the
That's
light
the
I was,
sign.
for the sign, the wash light.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so there are sconces across the back, this side here, and then around the porch.
It's the ceiling height on the porch.
And we're
Ceiling height
not,
on the porch is 8'9".
and we don't see any site lighting
So
other
they're high
than
hats
that.
in the soffit of the porch, 8'9". Excuse me.
Was there anything else you wanted to look at, or, we'll look at this all again too,
Yeah.
easily.
Okay, so our action is what, coordination?
To coordinate secra.
Okay. Do you have any other questions for us?
I don't.
Great. So we need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Dennis.
Second.
Second by Gloria, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 2 absent. Okay, we're coordinated, and then you'll take it to the next
Thank
step,
you.
then.
Yeah.
We'll get out all the
Yeah, we'll get
coordination.
moving on it, we have a month now.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Motion to adjourn.
And I think we're done. So motion to adjourn
Motion?
by Gloria, second by Craig, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 2 absent. And is everybody coming tonight?
I'll be here.
I'll be here.
Okay.